Put that what?
Is that for you or Steve? Steve.
Oh, that's new. That's for Steve. Who's standing on the bottom?
How you doing, Supervisor?
All right, buddy, how you doing?
All right, you my supervisor.
Okay.
Toth, but it's close enough.
Just an extra O.
There you go. That's right.
I'll do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call tonight's meeting to order. Mr. Damian Rowe is here tonight. If you don't mind, sir, would you be kind enough to give an invocation to the board and the citizens as well?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for this moment in time. We thank you for your grace, for your mercy. We thank you for your wisdom. Pray, Father, that you would continue to protect us and keep us in your keeping care. Pray, Father, that you would guide the supervisors tonight, guide the citizens tonight. Let us be mindful of your work and your will. We thank you for all of your blessings each and every day. And we are mindful that we can take nothing for granted, not one moment. We thank you just for being a loving God, for being a saving God, a merciful God. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Greatly appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much for that. Now we need approval of the agenda. I know we got one item to add on a new business. It was the email that I sent the board. Would be J4. It's for committee. Request, just we'll put it on a new business committee.
Okay.
Myself. And Mr. Bowen, did you, in your report, do you have anything about the work that's getting ready to commence for the courthouse security at the judge's request? Do you have that in there, or do we put that on the?
Yes, sir. I'm going to touch base a little bit on that with the county administrator report.
Okay,
Which will be
all right.
section M.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. Yes, sir. Okay, that's fine. Yes.
And I know there's some more changes. This is not a change in the order, but I do want to let you know the public hearing, we want to continue that one to March 21st.
Okay.
We didn't get that out in time enough to properly advertise, so apologies to that. And the Nottoway Work Center, Ms. Hill told us that she was sorry, took pressing business, took care of something she didn't attend to tonight, and she said she would that ain't come out right. She's gonna try to get here in March.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Was there anything else from any of the other board members on the agenda? If not, I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda with the changes, please.
To approve the agenda with the changes.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Then we need approval of the minutes from January the 11th, 2024 work session, and also January 18th at the 2024 regular Board of Supervisors meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Can I get a second, please?
I second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Now we're going to move to delegations from the public. And got a list here. Was there anybody that showed up late that wanted to talk to the board that did not get a chance to sign up? Okay. That being so, first speaker tonight is Mr. Sonny Abbott. As y'all very well may know, there's a lot of folks that come up here that speak on a regular basis. Mr. Abbott's never been here, so be kind with him. We know he's going to be nervous.
May I approach?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Be careful, Sonny,
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I respectfully request that you see me as a resident of the county, a concerned citizen. On the map that I gave you, I'd like to point out 2 or 3 little things. You'll see right near the word Knotty Mill Lane, a 1 and a 2.
Yes, sir.
And where the L is in Little Creek, that chunk of land is mine. I respectfully request, again, that you see me as a resident and not an elected official. There is a proposed change before the Planning Commission. And ultimately, this board, dealing with properties that are in very close proximity to my home. A non-resident landowner has initiated the process to have 2 pieces of property rezoned light commercial from agricultural. I understand that on one lot he wants to engage in gunsmithing, and on the other grow and sell produce. I trust the Planning Commission will see what you're seeing with that map, that this area is rural residential. I did not receive notice because my property is not adjacent to the land requested for rezoning. The aerial photo provides a much better picture of the homes around the subject land. And as I indicated, mine is one of them. The document that went out is this one. I would have printed it, but my printer won't pick up that light yellow color. And you couldn't find, but you can't see where my property is in relationship to these. Gunsmithing is proposed for one site. At some point, those weapons will be discharged. Now, I'm a gun owner, familiar with weapons. There are homes all around these 2 properties. I trust that whomever might be doing the proposed work would claim to do it in a safe manner. However, accidents happen, and a projectile discharged from any weapon can cause serious problems. Consider that many of the neighboring properties have horses. Few horses enjoy the sounds of gunfire. Imagine a young, inexperienced rider learning horsemanship across the street from these properties when the sounds of gunfire rings through the air. What do you think the horse is going to think? Let alone the ability of an inexperienced rider on an out-of-control animal. Much more needs to be understood. I'll share those concerns with the Planning Commission in mid-March. However, I wanted each of you to know my concerns now. Didn't want it to be a surprise before the final decision comes before this board. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Does anybody have any questions or anything for Mr. Abbott at this point right now? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Abbott, and I appreciate the information, sir. Mr. Greg Posey.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Greg Posey. My wife and I own the horse training facility that is directly across Namazine Road from the Knotty Mill subdivision. And I had attended the planning commission meeting back in January that Mr. Zodi held. Originally, the letter that was sent out to us had only one special request by Mr. Trebelko for his gunsmithing and gun sales. When the agenda for the planning commission came out, I was surprised that the second property was also on the agenda. Now, I do have some handouts because my printer worked. And if I could approach
Yes, absolutely,
this,
absolutely.
and I'm not as good as that at this. These are the two properties in question right now. And as you can see, Notting Mill Road is right beside.
Thank you, sir.
Property number one.
Are you 1321?
Sorry.
Are you 1321?
I am at 1308, directly across the street. And
Thank you, sir.
we are really concerned that we would have spot zoning for commercial in this agricultural district. And of course, that training facility, we have an indoor and outdoor arena and space for 14 horse paddocks, and we have 8 indoor paddocks for the horses. And we also have a house on that property. So we're really, really concerned about it. When I attended the meeting in January, I didn't know what to expect, but I wanted to, I thought I would see drawings and maps and exactly what I got off of the county GIS. But basically, what happened at the meeting was that Mr. Trebelko was allowed to speak about what he wanted to do. And the only people that had questions for him were myself, my neighbor Sid Ittner, and I think you all know Mr. Lynn Howard. And I frankly was not satisfied with his answers. He talked about the fact that ATF would come to visit him and he needed a mailbox out on Namazine Road, which he can't have because VDOT doesn't want that. All of the mailboxes for Notting Mill are about 10 or 12 of them at one spot where there won't be an accident because Notting Mill has that big mirror on a pole to let people safely exit. I'm afraid I'm a rural guy that having ATF come visit Mr. Trebelko doesn't really excite me much, directly across the street from this horse place that we have, so. I will attend the next meeting with Mr. Zodi. I think it's in March 19th.
Did they approve it?
And hopefully, we can get a up or down vote on, I really would like the county to know so that we might need your help. So, and that's really all I have to say. I hope I haven't said anything wrong.
No, you haven't, not at all, sir. You've been more than
Have
cordial.
Any questions? I did get that directly off of the county GIS,
Yes, sir. Okay,
and I thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions of Mr. Posey? All right. I got a question. Greg, when is this going to come before the board, this item?
I won't talk about that now. Yes, what we're doing, what the planning commission continued the meeting so I could get with VDOT and talk to Paul Henson about the site distance. That's one of the big issues, as well as the guns. While I'm on the subject, I would like to let you all know that Mr. Trebelko had said at that time that he might be working, he's a contractor, he might be in North Carolina. So I've already reached out to Paul Henson, and I'll address that at a later date. But what we'll do, I'll come back. I've reached out to Mr. Trebelko on Monday, I believe it was. Haven't heard back from him. But we need, like as Mr. Posey said, and Mr. Abbott said, you know, let's get this moving and have a decision on this. Last, I want to clarify, it's a special exception, not a rezoning, for light commercial, because it's listed in the zoning ordinance as a use permitted through a special exception. And it's supposed to be retail goods and personal wares or some personal services or something like that. That is in my opinion, as a planner, that really, to me, you have to be context sensitive. And I'm not promoting it. I'm not recommending against it. I'm just telling you what it is. And it's not going to be something large, but.
All right, so we'll probably look at it coming before us in April then.
I would think so, and I'll update the board at the 21st meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
You're
Appreciate
welcome,
it.
sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up, let's give a wild round of applause for the one and the only Mr. Roger Reynolds. Come on, sir.
I'm looking up here and I see all of my supervisors and my administrator wearing glasses, except for Mr. Ingram, the youngest one there.
Thank you very much.
He's got contacts in.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. First off, foremost, thank you for your participation with the board. It's a lot of us in the county that truly appreciate it. Being in emergency services for 40 years, I can truly understand your personal time you miss with family and personal events because you're helping others, but as you all well know, it's worth it, so thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would like to welcome Mr. Bowen as our county administrator. Welcome back to Nottoway County. I've been a taxpayer in Nottoway County for 48 years, and I'm proud to say Mr. Bowen raised in this county, raised his family in this county. His extended family continues to farm and pay taxes in Nottoway County. So I feel like he will be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. So that I'd also like to personally thank you and Mr. Bowen for your attention and time with the Tyson closure and the over 90 farmers that were put out of business and over 300 poultry houses. Y'all spent a lot of time at my farm and with the media and out picket and drawing up plans, so thank you for that. And we've got a lot working. We've got a Central Virginia poultry co-op that's picking up a lot of houses. I think it's going to be a good thing. Be commercial eggs. Whole lot different than raising broilers, but at least we got birds back in the houses and farmers are back making money and paying bills.
Amen.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Roger.
you.
Thank you, Roger.
Greatly appreciate that, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick comment, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reynolds. So the co-op group has contacted me, and they're looking for an office space that they can meet, and they're using the Farm Bureau space. They don't want to ruin their welcome punch anymore. So I did look at the incubator at the LRA for an option. So I just wanted you to know that we're trying to find a space for them so they can have their meetings and strategize. Okay.
No, that's much appreciated. And anything we can do for that group here in Nottoway, we definitely want to do it and continue to do it. So.
We got a meeting next Thursday at Farmville at the Woodman Community Center, but it's going to be such a large crowd that they found a large place.
Okay. Good. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good.
All right. Next is one of my personal favorites. I think the world of her, Miss Arlene Robertson. How are you, dear?
Good evening. I'm Arlene Robertson, 1121 Lewis Cole Road, Crewe, Virginia. It's seemed like forever since I have stood before the Board of Supervisors here in Nottoway County. It does me well to say I am blessed to be here this evening to address this board, and thank you so much for giving the citizens the opportunity to speak in front of our elected officials. I first want to just, in her absence, thank Mrs. Simmons. I wanted so badly to get to these meetings, but sickness kept me away. December, I was down with pneumonia, so I couldn't come to that to just personally thank her to her face. And I'm sorry she's not here tonight, but I honestly and truly enjoyed working with her. It was so much that we needed to do at the time that she came in to serve as Jack Green died in office and so forth. So we worked very well with Helen, and I just want to thank her in her absence for a job well done over the years that she served us in District 3. To the board, I want to thank those who were on this board at the time that she brought my name forward to serve again on the Piedmont Senior Resources Board, and that's Mr. Ingram and Mr. Rourke. You two were here when Helen brought my name forward in December, and you all did accept me to go back to Piedmont Senior Resources. I enjoy Piedmont, but I was out. I didn't try to hide my sickness. I was very ill for a year and a half almost, so I just started back to driving in January. So I'm thanking the Lord that I'm able to get out and be to the meetings now. And as I try to do the things that I have been accustomed to doing, we lost one of our board members. He resigned from the board, Paul Bennett, and we did attend his final service. And it was well attended. And we thank God for those people who served and served well on the Piedmont Senior Resources Board, because we don't know until we sit down and talk to some of our elderly people. Well, I'm one now. Talk to the elders in our community. We don't know what things they're going through. So we truly appreciate the monies that you all put into funding, helping to fund the programs through Piedmont Senior Resources. There's another, on the Piedmont Senior Resources, the cafe and crew. I had no idea that we had a cafe until Justine came to my church in September to tell us about the cafe and crew that meets every Wednesday from 10 until 2. And I have been over there twice. And I have asked the board if it would be okay for other members to just come and enjoy the senior citizens, see what things that they have to say. And I asked if I could invite the board of supervisors to come. And you don't have to stay the whole time. Just come and see what things they do. I was able to attend part of the gathering on yesterday because I left there and went to the Lenten service. But I did attend part of that, and we had two people one was from Virginia State University, and the other was from the Virginia Tech, and they were doing the nutrition program. It was a follow-up from where they had been there before. So any monies that you all put into these programs, I can tell you it's money well spent, because that money is going to give the senior citizens 4 hours away from home in the daytime. And believe me, I know what it is to be at home, nobody to talk to but the dogs, and they don't talk back. I mean, I went through that from October of 2022 up until December of 2023. So I was so thankful to know that we have something going on in crew like that we have people that can come out and the bus picks them up. So part of the funding, it comes from the counties. And I do thank you for that. I also want to just say thank you again for funding the domestic violence project that we're starting back up. Nottoway is participating in that. So I just come tonight thanking you for the monies that you all are providing to help fund certain projects and programs that we're having in Nottoway County. I know that every year things increase, so I will probably be coming back during budget time to ask if y'all can give us some more money for some of these programs, but believe me when I tell you, Justine and the staff, the administration of Piedmont Senior Resources, they're doing an excellent job. And the money is, we're having an audit, and the monies that we have spent by the counties, that the counties are providing, as I stated before, is money's well spent. I thank you all so much. Next time when I stand before you, I won't be this long, but I just had to let you all know some of the things that they do in the Piedmont Senior Resources. I know that there are people who don't know. What some people know is they'll put a ramp on your house if that's what you need. They do the bathrooms and so forth. They do a lot. But these things that services in the community, I would like to make sure that people know that these are services that are partially funded by the counties, each county that is represented by Piedmont Senior Resources. So thank you for hearing me, and I do appreciate all of the hard work that you all do. We look forward to being back before you, like I said, during budget season, but I'll probably be back before then. But, Mr. Ingram, it's good to see you sitting.
I was getting ready to
on
say,
this
Ms.
board.
Robinson, I don't know when I have seen you, but you and I go way back.
Way back. You're right about that.
And she's right down the road from me, but she's in a different district, which I don't understand. But anyway, good to see you, Ms. Robinson. Glad to see you out.
Thank you so much.
certainly welcome.
It's good to be here. And Christy, thank you so much. This little girl, I've been knowing her.
Hey, Mr. Ingram, what school teacher, right? That's the Arlene Robinson school teacher. Miss Robinson, you was a school teacher at Nottoway, correct?
Say that again.
Was you a school teacher at Nottoway?
I didn't teach, I worked.
You was a substitute.
But then when I got my degree,
Yes.
I decided that I would work in the guidance office. But yeah,
I remember you in the guidance
I
office.
worked at
Yeah.
Nottoway, in just about all of the schools, except Burkeville and, well, I did Crew Primary, the intermediate, the Crew Primary, the middle school and the high school.
In the old intermediate school in Blackstone, correct?
Right.
That's what I thought. I asked a couple people, and they looked at me like I was dumbfounded, which I am a lot of times. It was right beside it. And guess who was the principal? Sherman Vaughn.
Ms. Robinson, thank you so much, and as always, it's good seeing you. It's good to hear your voice. Thank you, dear. Mr. Bill Outlaw.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Chair, board members, Mr. Bowen.
Good evening.
I'm sure you're all aware of the $34 trillion debt that this country has right now. $34 trillion. And it is forecast to be by Election Day in November this year at $36 trillion. That is absolute physical insanity. Sadly, most of our elected representatives do not seem to care about the horrendous impact that has on the citizens of this country. And it's getting worse. This reckless spending seems to be contagious. And we see that in many areas in state governments around the country. It's contagious. I know y'all are in your budget cycle, and there are some very expensive projects that I think are coming up. I got to say, and I listened to this last month, $8 million for a tower, a communications tower. I wonder about that. Plus $3 million to maintain it over the cycle of the life cycle of the contract. Has anybody looked into what other counties are doing to see if this is in line with what we can expect? What about state police? They seem to have a really good communication system. But and one other thing, $2 million, if you can get it for that. I think the bids you've received on the animal shelter run from about $3.5 to $4 million. What does that amount to in per square foot? I've got an idea of what home construction is per square foot because I'm involved in something in that process right now. But anyway, I just wanted to make you aware of some of those things, and I would suggest that the citizens of Nottoway County deserve and they need physical responsibility from you folks, and I'm sure you can provide that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Outlaw, to one of your questions, I happen to have a calculator up here. 3.5 at 7,000 square feet is $500 a square foot.
Well, my daughter is looking at building a house, and I'm sure she wishes she could have the money, $500 a square foot to build that house. It's nowhere near that.
Right.
I was going to say also, I got the Farmville paper today, and they are in the process of approving a $7.5 million radio system. It will be compatible to Nottoway, Lunenburg. Lunenburg is in the process. So it's not a cheap thing, and it's not a tower, it's a radio system. And every person, Mr. Hyde can address it, but all the first responders will have it, the bus drivers will have it, the police will have it, the sheriff's department will have it. So it's not just a tower, it's a system. So I want everybody to understand that, and something we got to look at.
And I totally understand that communications, particularly in the 911 arena, are absolutely essential. But, you know, you talked a little bit about age, and I've been around for a little while, and I guess some of these figures are just, I haven't caught up with some of those things.
Mr. Outlaw, I would, if you chatted with Mr. Hyde before,
Say
have
again?
you chatted with Buddy Hyde about the system, the radio system?
I was here at the last meeting, so I heard the presentation, and I was amazed at some of the things that were said.
It's gonna be a whole lot more discussion about it before final decision is made. I can assure you that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I'm not trying to get on you guys. I mean, you've got an awful lot on your plate, and I understand that. But
No, we appreciate it, Mr. Outlaw. I mean, we have to not only just hear what is being brought before us, but we have to absolutely hear more so from what the citizens are telling us.
Yeah.
And just like Mr. Abbott is in an elected role as well, just as you are a citizen first. And you'll be a citizen when you're no longer in an elected position too, and that does not fall short of me.
And I in my other job, taking care of the taxpayers' money is very, very important to me. And
Yes, sir.
It's a sacred responsibility.
Yes, sir. All right.
While realizing the necessities, I understand.
Sorry?
I said while we realize the necessities as well, certain necessities,
Yes.
but we're gonna work on that too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Outlaw. Mr. Slugger Morset.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Figured I'd come up here and talk to y'all a little bit. A subject's kind of dear to my heart. That's freedom of speech. My daddy fought in World War II. He was a decorated Navy guy, and he fought so hard so I would have these freedoms that we have. Problem with my daddy is he brought the war home with him, you know, and I was raised like that. Got one beating one time with 54 cuts on me. I was pulled out of school when I was 13. Never knowed nothing but a hard way. Studied law for 26 years, stuff y'all deal with every day. And you can believe I know it. Upside downward, sideways. Free speech, Chesterfield County carried me to court. I stood before them, it's on TV if you ever want to look at it. I said, you got 8 attorneys. You carry me to court, I'm going to beat you till your nose bleeds. And I went to court and I beat them till their nose bleed. Tell you that right now. I know something about the subject. So when someone comes up here to speak, they have got to be feeling like they're in their mother's arms, regardless of what they say, as long as they're not out of the way. They're not to be questioned. I know that a lot of times you do this, John ought to care, but there are some people that get intimidated when they're questioned. And they ask, anybody got any questions? Well, some people, that will just send shivers over them. I was watching a friend of mine up here, Bobby Hawthorne, come up here, and just like I am. And when he got through, Mr. Ingram wrote him up one side and down the other. Do you realize how much liability that can bring on you guys? You know why it does? Because the ACLU is going to come in here on freedom of speech. They did mine. But they came in on the 11th hour. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't need you, you know? So these people don't have to do that. They've got to feel like when they come up here, they're not going to be questioned. They're not going to be tormented in any way. Because if they do, then it will not be freedom of speech. So I just asked you to consider that. Please consider the feelings. Now, I want to tell you something. This lady, I think her name is Ms. Robinson. I enjoyed that. I really did. And she's a living example that some angels don't fly, because that's she's setting, you know. And I enjoy things like that. I don't want to come up here and be causing trouble all the time. But when I see some of the things you do, and see some of the laws that's passed, and see the way things have handled, and I know the law, I didn't ever want to come up here the first time. But after I came up here, my freedom of speech, in order to stop me, the county conspired. They went back 7 years. I told Philip about it as soon as he come on board. He said, what are you talking about? I tried myself when I was working for Ronnie to get approval on a subdivision, and they wouldn't approve it. He said, I'll go to court and testify. And that's Philip. Ask him. You weren't approving subdivisions. Between August of 2011 and February of 2019, you weren't approving them. And right now, you still aren't. Because anything that comes before Mr. Zodi here that don't also become before y'all, according to your ordinances, it's not legal. I just ask you guys to tighten the straps up here a little bit. You're not going to be perfect. None of us are, you know. I've got reasons. Mr. Bourne's sitting up there. I don't have nothing against Mr. Bourne. Actually, I like him. I think he's a nice-looking guy. I think he's a cool dude. But the law applies. The law. See, that's what I believe in. That's what my daddy beat me half to death because he brought it home with him, was so I would have that freedom. So I thank you guys for the work you do, and you know I know the law. If you have any questions about anything I have, and I'm not talking down your attorney, I can just tell you he can't go toe-to-toe with me. There's only two people in this state can go toe-to-toe with me on the zoning laws. One of them is John Foote, and the other one is Sam McSweeney. Now, you hire either one of them, you got somebody I'll have to deal with. So anyway, I don't want to act like I'm threatening you. I don't even want to come up here. My granddaughter's at my house. But if I don't come up here and present myself, all I want is to use my land. It's not y'all's fault. It happened in 95. Y'all weren't on the board in 95 when they went to paved roads. You cannot pave a road and sell 5 acres for $40,000. They just can't do it. So I ask you guys to consider these things. So y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. For transparency, one of the best things that I ever saw, I learned from a former mayor out of the town of Blackstone. That former mayor believed, and he happens to be in the room tonight, Mr. Colbert. He believed in having and asking people, do you have a question? Do y'all have a question? And having that open banner with the citizens. I saw how effective it was, and I will continue to ask these board members that they've got questions of anybody that comes before this board, because most of the times, just like Mr. Abbott has valiantly spoken numerous, dozens, maybe hundreds of times, it's like, I won't hold my breath for an answer. But that ain't gonna happen while I'm chair, and I'm not infringing on anybody's right by asking if any of these board members have a question of any citizen that comes forward. There's been hundreds of citizens that I've encouraged to come here. There's been hundreds of citizens that I've encouraged to ask questions of other board members, because our vote affects everybody, regardless of what district you're in. So
If I'm violating anybody's First Amendment rights, please let me know. Please ask the attorneys.
I'll let you know right then.
Hell, I'll even ask my new spiritual advisor if that's so. Am I doing the right thing? By the way, I was joking. The only spiritual advisor I have is Jesus Christ. So with that, y'all, and I'll say it just like I've said a million times before. Citizens, please come forward. Anytime you have questions or concerns, contact your supervisor, because that is what we are here for, to answer your questions and to ask questions if we need clarification. That's why you ask questions. You have open banter. That's not a violation of your First Amendment rights. Moving forward. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're going to G1.
Yes, sir.
You
Departmental
want
reports.
a motion to close the delegation?
Public address.
Don't need it?
No, we don't.
All right, cool.
Departmental reports. Mr. Deanna Bryant. Yep. How are you? I knew I saw you.
Good evening,
Good
board
evening.
members, Mr. Bowen, Chairman. I think I got that a little backwards this evening. I hope you all are doing well this evening. I wanted to update you on a few things. And I sent out a couple two-week look-aheads today for some of our surface treatment schedules that are upcoming. We got slurry seal that's working in the county over the next couple of weeks. You've probably seen some white marks on the roads here and there. That's where they're marking some areas for possible patching. And there's going to be some eradication of pavement markings in preparation for the slurry seal, and then they'll do crack seal and stuff like that. So that's upcoming for the slurry seal. The Route 46 bridge, I'm going to make sure that I update you all on that every month. Right now, they are working on demolishing the piers for the bridge, and the completion date is not changed. It is still fall of 2024, so work is still continuing. The Carry Shop Road Bridge, that was closed on February 5th, and we're looking to have that bridge rebuilt and the road reopened in mid-June. On the board report, there's some permits that were issued to VDEM. I figured you all probably would want to know what that was for. And those are for VDEM to install gauges to do monitoring for flooding. So that's what those permits are on the report. The review for the gradual speed reduction is still in the queue for our traffic engineering section. So as soon as that is complete, I'll send that to you. And then the big weather thing, we are preparing for that. I'm not sure if you all have seen the weather, but we may or may not get anything, but you can rest assured that our crews will be rigged and ready for whatever's coming Friday night into Saturday. So that is all of the additional that I had for you. Do you all have any questions for me?
You don't feel like that's violating your First Amendment right, do you?
No, sir.
I thought the same thing, yeah.
I'm asking you if you have any questions, or you have any issues you would like for me to take back.
I don't. Do you?
No issue, just comment. I just want the board to know that Ms. Bryant has set up a meeting with me on February 28th in Petersburg with our Board of Transportation representative. I think it's Mr. Davis, is that correct?
Commonwealth Transportation Board, yes.
Okay, so looking forward to that, and hopefully we can get on first name basis before that meeting's over with. Anyway.
Well, thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Bowen, the leachate.
Okay, leachate, that's a new word in everybody's vocabulary, a very costly word. So the way we've had this set up a relationship with the town of Blackstone is that the leachate is pretty much toxic water, or I call it toxic, but it has all these nasty things that you can't just put it on the ground. And so we've been fortunate enough to have a good relationship with Blackstone over the years, and we take that leachate, pump it down, and then take it to their sewer line, and then they treat it for us. Evidently, some of the levels of different things like ammonia and different types of...
This comes from the landfill.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So it comes back from the landfill. Like I said, should have started that. And it's pretty much that you got water that seeps down through the trash, and then it's collected in this containment that's actually got a liner in it. And so, with that said, Blackstone has had these levels so high that they can't accept it. So we're trying to find another place to take it. We went to Hopewell, South Hill, Petersburg, Farmville, Richmond. No. We tried some suggestions from Mr. Toth over there, and that turned out a no, but Lynchburg is a possibility. The leachate is in a situation we got so much of it, I've had to bring 2 tanks in, 20,000-gallon tanks, to pump it in a tank and just to hold it. Because if it goes over that liner, it seeps in the ground, and then we can get fined for that. So I got a call this morning. The 2 tanks is not big enough, so I'm going to get 2 more tanks. I'm renting these tanks. Once you put a leachate in a tank, we mentioned, Mr. Toth, you mentioned about the truck. Once you put leachate on a truck, it's a leachate truck. You can't just sell it to anybody else.
You talking about the trailer?
No, well, our truck, it's got the tank on it.
Oh, it's not a road trailer, okay.
Yeah, so
but
anyway, so I guess what I'm just telling you is that's the problem, and I know we need to get out, sooner or later, we need to get out the landfill business, okay? John Roll, you like me to say that, don't you?
I love it.
Right.
I love it.
But one thing that we need to consider, though, and I just want to share this, let's say we get out the landfill and we come, what'd you call it, a station?
Transfer station.
Transfer station. And you got to remember our towns, okay? So that come up. The towns right now pick up the trash, take it to our landfill. What are they going to do when they pick up the trash? They're going to take it to our transfer station. Then we're going to. But anyway, just keep the towns in mind when we make these decisions, because we've had in the past made decisions and really say, well, we didn't include the towns in the decision making. So because what we do with trash affects them as well. So
Correct.
Okay. But anyway, that's my report right now on that. I will more to come. Hopefully, we can have maybe town of Blackstone can get their chemicals straight, and we can start using them again. But until then, we got to take it. Hopefully we can take it to Lynchburg. I filled out an application. Mr. Easter and I filled out an application for Lynchburg, with hopefully they'll take it. So, but that's a long way to travel with this.
That's right, but this is happening regionally because of the extraordinary amount of rain.
Right. That's right. That's a good point too.
This is a weather situation.
I might add too, and I'm sort of volunteering you to a degree depending on your availability tomorrow, but I did reach out to Blackstone and I talked to a couple people there, and hopefully Mr. Bowen can go with me tomorrow, but we're going to go up at 1 o'clock if you're available.
Yeah, I get it.
And we're going to talk to the mayor and 1 or 2 councilmen, their water treatment personnel, and see what they got to do to start taking it back from us again to get us out of it. And they said they would help us in any kind of way they could.
Okay.
So if it's some kind of cost we need to absorb as far as some kind of chemicals to further treat it, that might be something that we have to do.
That's right.
And it's something we paid them for before, correct?
Yes, that's right.
It was
right.
not a big amount, but it covered the cost.
But the
that we
deal
hauled
that
it to.
Blackstone has given us, you won't get it anywhere else.
Right, and they want to. I think they want to help us. I really do. By talking to the mayor there today and the town manager, I think they do.
Okay. So we'll have that meeting tomorrow then.
Okay, that's
All right.
good. You can go. Thank you.
All right, is Mr. Bowles here, Nicholas Bowles, building inspector?
No, sir, he's not.
All right, with that, any of these departmental reports, y'all know that as well, that there is no representative speak, it's in your board package. Animal control is in your board package. Piedmont Health District is in your board package. Library is in your board package as well. Nottoway County, the school board, does anybody have anything? Ms. Martin, hey, how you doing tonight? Are you asking for money? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Mr. Bowen. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Dr. Grimes. She's unable to be here tonight. So the school system is busy as we are in the second half of our year. We're progressing through our second semester. Of course, it's budget season. I'm not asking for money, but you're well aware it's budget season. focusing on improving our instruction and, of course, other things with our school safety. I do want to highlight tonight our Division Spelling Bee winners, and they are representing Nottoway County at the next level. And that was Dan Sahib, who is a second grader at Blackstone Primary. And then Joseph Deese was a fourth grader at Crew Primary. So I do congratulate them and want to highlight them for their work within the school and that they'll be representing the county. A couple other things of interest just for y'all. Our Safety and Security Forum is coming up, and safety and security is always a top priority for the school system to ensure the safety of our staff and our students. The School Safety and Security Forum is Tuesday at 5:30 in the main auditorium. A couple of things that we're highlighting is hidden in plain sight. If you've never experienced a hidden in plain sight, I would encourage you to do it. Our Sheriff's Department does it for us. We set up a mock student room in their home, and we talk about things that students may hide in particular areas, vapes, alcohol, drugs, any of those type of things, so that parents can be aware of what may be coming in to their home. As we know nowadays, and I'm sure the sheriff can speak to it, vapes don't look like a typical vape and what they put out for students. So we want to make sure our parents are aware of anything that their children could be exposed to outside of school as well. We're going to do some work with situational awareness, being aware of your surroundings and what may be there. And then there's going to be a Q&A and panel discussion. We've partnered with the Sheriff's Department, the Commonwealth Attorney, and then some of our school staff will highlight and sit on that panel as well on Tuesday evening. Also during the day on Tuesday, we're providing situational and de-escalation training for our school staff, and then our SROs are participating in that as well during the day. We're also continuing to focus on on-time graduation, dropout, and chronic absenteeism. We have a dinner and diplomas coming up, which will share what our children need in order to be successful. And it's not just being successful at the high school level. We want to set them right very early on, so it's open to all of our families, and what they need in order to graduate, and also the profile of a Nottoway graduate, what we want them to have when they leave us to enter the workforce. And we have handouts and flyers that go with that and what we're expecting with that. And then it's, as I said, it's the second half of the year. We're getting ready to start our focus on our summer internship program. Last summer, we had a summer internship program for our students with a variety of community businesses, and different avenues, and so we're working on that again this year, and so you'll see things coming out about that. We were very fortunate that we were able to have somebody at the county administrator's office, school system, many businesses through the community took people for us. So, and it was a wonderful opportunity for our students and the employers that we have. So that's all I had, unless you have questions for me.
Yes, yeah, I did. I started to do it again, but anyway, I'll let that dog lie now. Anyway, so I do have one question, and I'm gonna blame this one on Mr. Abbott, because he has over the years punched some financial stuff into my head. So, just a quick question. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Going into your second half of the year, do y'all know exactly where you are on your budget expenses? In other words, are you like at 50% over or under, or?
I'm going to put Ms. Meyer on the spot instead of me for that. Ms. Meyer, do you want to speak to that?
I can't tell you percentage, but we're actually doing very well
Okay.
with our expenditures. I'm actually going to prepare a presentation for our March board meeting
Okay.
that will actually speak to actual numbers and dollars on that topic.
Good deal. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Mr. Chairman, I strongly suggest you attend the March meeting.
I had plans of that, but I didn't want to scare you.
I think just don't infringe on his
Just
right.
to, Mr. Chairman, just to make
Yes,
sure
sir.
while we got Ms. Martin there, I think we got a joint work session scheduled with the school board on March 12th.
I believe that is correct.
Have we set a time yet?
I don't think a time has been set.
Okay.
Has it been set?
I think so. Is it set at 6? I think it's 6:30.
6:30?
Okay, is it 6:30? Okay. Just want the board to put that on the calendar.
We can confirm and make sure
Okay.
we have the same times.
6:30.
March 12th, 6:30.
I know you always like 6 to 7, but
What day of the month?
it's their party and they're inviting us to the party, so I
on a Thursday.
couldn't dictate the
I
time.
believe it's a Tuesday.
Oh, it is a Tuesday, because we talked about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as it ain't on Wednesday, I know you're
Yeah,
good.
that's
March
right.
12th at 6:30. Joint meeting.
Yes.
Here or
Where is it at?
I believe it's in the mini auditorium.
any auditorium.
And just to prep the board, you know, with the reassessment going up, that reassessment number has something to do with the composite index formula. And so it will affect our local match. So don't lose any sleep overnight. Let's just wait for March 12th and see what happens.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank
Greatly
y'all.
appreciate you. Social services, I do have one thing from our meeting. We have a new chair and vice chair for the social services board. That is Mr. Ronnie Scruggs is the new chairman. Ms. Carrie Gravely is the new vice chair. And the reason why we have that is because the wonderful, and I mean absolute wonderful, Ms. Barbara Briggins has you can serve 2 4-year terms, and she has done so, and she's done so with nothing but dignity and grace in helping the citizens of this county. So, so anyway, I apologize. I love her. She's a wonderful lady. And
Amen.
I would like to ask the board if at the March board meeting, if we could present a resolution for the work that she's done on the social services board, if the board sees fit to that. I think she's more than well deserving for that. Another social services department director, Ms. Shannon Reed, presented her with a plaque. But what she's done for Nottoway County, it just, there's not enough recognition of things we could give her. So if we can agree to do that, that'd be a wonderful thing, and see if she's be available for our March meeting. Okay, moving on. Planning and economic development, Mr. Zodi.
Good evening again. I really have no updates besides SB 697. I'm having nightmares about that, and I can't sleep. No, just kidding. But as you all know, I sent you all some information. I did the same before this meeting to the Planning Commission to let them know because of our joint solar public hearing on the 20th. Okay. I do want to remind you, as well as the public, that we are having a joint public hearing on Tuesday at 7 o'clock here in the General District Courtroom. And as a matter of fact, next week is when crossover begins in the General Assembly. What Senate Bill 697, which passed 21 to 18, that goes over to crossover, so where it will be heard in the House, and it'll be assigned to a committee. I don't know what the committee is at this time, but I'm keeping track of it, just to keep you all and the Planning Commission informed. Lastly, the only addition I have is a very, very important point when there's public delegation. A subdivision is 3 lots or more. That's what I bring up before the board. It states it very clearly in the subdivision ordinance. It's black and white. Subdivision is 3 or more lots that you create. And as such, you're required to build public roads built to VDOT standards, which includes paving. Now, segueing onto September 26th, Mr. Morissette is appearing before the Planning Commission for an exception. Exceptions are not like, they're sort of like variances, but they're not. They're subdivision oriented. Only the Planning Commission hears the exception, and they are requesting an exception to a section of our subdivision ordinance which requires public roads be constructed and they have to be paved. And the other exception is for several irregular lots that I called out in my markup. That's what I do with final plats. Lastly, preliminary plats are not required for any lots that are under 50 lots or less, according to state code. This changed about 11 years ago, I believe. Mr. Collins, I don't know if you're aware. But so basically, we don't get preliminary plats. One of the exceptions that we're going to hear next week is as an alternative is for private roads. And I'm not a fan. I live in Cole Harbor. And I think that's all I need to say.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have to say, but I do want to let y'all know about that public hearing, and it doesn't go to the Planning Commission. I'm to the Board of Supervisors, excuse me.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Buddy Hyde. Give us emergency services report, please, sir.
All right. Mr. Chair, members of the board, staff, citizens, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a couple things. My report's obviously in the monthly packet for you, as always. If you have questions, let me know. I'll try to keep it brief, but feel free to ask me anything that you see there. I want to put emphasis on a few things in that report. And I've got a few added things that are not on that report that just came up. I'll start off with, we have we're getting ready to distribute the annual checks to the fire departments. That is something we do every year, but because of the audit and the transition of the finance directors and all the people, we may be maybe 3 weeks to 5 weeks, a little further than we normally are, but there's nothing in writing that says when we do it, but we usually do it around January. So those checks are going out, and I usually hand deliver them to the fire chiefs. So I'll be getting with Ms. Chandler, and I've talked to her about that. Those are the checks that actually come from the general budget line item, which is called contributions equipment. And of course, we have 2 line items that we give each fire department, each EMS agency in Nottoway. One is that one I just mentioned. The other one is from the vehicle registration fees, and that has to be collected through the year. And we usually give that one at the end of the fiscal year, and that's called contributions operations. So those are the 2 line items that we have always funded. It's called contributions from the general budget to the fire and EMS agencies. And they're always happy to get that. And we've had those spread out, not at one time. Another thing, good news, is distribution of 4 for Life payments, and that'll be happening within the next week or 2. That is pass-through money. We received that on the 8th of this month, and I talked to Ms. Rayford, and we've got that check, $13,398. Now, what that is we allocate it out to all 4 agencies. We have, a lot of people don't know this, but we have 4 EMS licensed agencies in the county. We have 2 that transport, but 2 that don't. So all 4 of your departments are licensed with the State Office of EMS. So what we do is we give them each a portion. The ones with transport get a little bit more than the ones that don't transport. So that's coming out. Good news in grants. The money is flowing in this month. We've been working on grants, seems like a year and a half. We're starting to get this money from the state. This week, or last week, we received $6,801 for the EOC equipment, some of the EOC equipment that I bought. We put in for reimbursement, so we got $6,801 back. And that's a lot of the equipment that we use to do your audiovisual.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that only cost $6,802 for everything, right?
No, it didn't. It didn't. But when we're done, we will have very little in the EOC.
Yes, sir.
I mean, a lot of it's reimbursed, but all the furniture you sit on was donated from LRA, so
yes, sir.
We didn't buy any of that. So this is good to have a reimbursement. Another reimbursement was a CAD integration system that we put into the 911 center, $5,000 with no batch. We just received that money, and we had spent that money a few months ago, went ahead and put that system in place. What that does is it automatically drops all the times into the call sheets of the responders. And that's a one-time fee, $5,000 reimbursed, and now it won't cost but $900 a year. So that's really good for them. We also have a new grant, and I did the opt-in paperwork this week on that. That's the Department of Emergency Management for $7,500, and that'll be coming over the next 6 months, no match. And by the way, the others I mentioned, the only match was not a cash match, but we use a portion of salaries for the match. So it's money we've already spent, so no additional match. But those are the incomes, the things that we're doing to bring money back in. So we're constantly, along with the $1 million that we have sitting, for the radio system, we're probably, we've had about 8 or 9 grants in the past year and a half. So just want to let you know about that. The metal canopy was installed over the EOC. Most of you have seen that. We're lucky that a local vendor, Lifetime Metal out of Crew Industrial Park, had the low bid on it, and really was good to keep that in-house or in the county. We've started working on the GIS, and I know you all have heard a little bit about that. That's impacting Commissioner Revenue, voting districts, fire and EMS layers. All that's going, got an excellent price on it, and that's being started now. It's already started. So we did that this week with the contractor. Something to point out at Piedmont Geriatric Hospital, we had a walkthrough this past week. And this is something I want the citizens to know about. They're building an addition to the boiler plant. They're putting a silo, 80-foot silo out there to put the switchgrass in before it's burned to provide the fuel for the heat. So that boiler plant's being expanded. This is why we do plans review. I'm so happy we went over there. But Chief Shinepp, Chief Shute, myself, we all met with the safety people at PGH, and we determined that 80-foot silo had a stairwell on the back side, where the new aerial ladder that Blackstone is getting, when it goes up to the 80-foot silo, There was going to be nothing on the side that it could access, just a wall. So we talked the contractor into putting the ladder system that goes up like a catwalk. We talked them into putting it on the side where the ladder truck can back in and now rescue someone that might be in a medical emergency off the 80-foot silo. So, but before, no one would have been able to access it, even with the new, I believe it's $1.2 million ladder truck. So that's plans review, and it was really good that we all were able to sit down. We had an excellent conversation and a meeting on that. And by the way, that ladder truck for Blackstone is going to be here next week.
Okay.
So that's huge. It's been in Wisconsin. It's going to be at Virginia Beach next week at the Fire Rescue Conference that's in the Virginia Beach Pavilion. So it'll be in that conference center on the floor, Blackstone letters on the side of it. There's a few more local trucks from the Southside area. It's going to be down there. Typically, they showcase new trucks if they took delivery on them. All right, in your packet for the communication system, and yes, Mr. Outlaw, I know Mr. Outlaw, and we have a lot of conversations. We haven't talked about the radio system, but Mr. Outlaw, call me. Come by and see me. I can actually bring you up to speed on it. And that's what we've been doing, is bringing all of you up to speed as well as our citizens. So in your packet, we have a motion there. If you have any questions on that, that's just to start the legal review of the contract, not to sign the contract, just to start the legal review of that, which is a step that needs to happen anyway. And it's a very minimal amount that needs to be reviewed. You know, the contract's 1,600 pages.
And now.
But the pages that need review are pages that are not proposal. The proposals don't need to be revisited because they've already been voted on. So, you know, as far as who had the best price, who had the best system. So that motion is there, sir. And I had a couple other tidbits on the radio system that I was going to share with you as well.
Yeah, if you
want to do that now?
Yeah, you can go.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I just want to tell you, Mr. Chairman, that with that legal review, that's no obligation that you're moving forward. That's something that's got to be done anyway. So,
Right.
And I think, you know, we can get Mr. Waldron or somebody to do it. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
But anyway, just want to make sure everybody understood that.
I'd like to ask a question about that, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Paying an attorney to legally review it because it's got to be done anyhow? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. It's got to be done if we move forward.
So
Because
I
it's
suggest that we hold off on that.
Okay.
To see if we move forward rather than pay an attorney to review something that we may not need.
Okay.
And that's my suggestion. Because we as the new board hasn't had a chance to look at this thing. I'm speaking for me, and I think I can speak for the new members.
Right.
We're not familiar with it enough to say that we ought to review a contract to see if we're gonna move forward on spending $7.2 million and $350,000 a year to maintain it.
Right. Well, we plan to bring you up to speed, Mr. Toth. And
When we gonna do that?
You know, this week. We're hoping to. I think I sent an email out to you. We know you had to miss the last meeting, but we'd like to get you and Mr. Collins and our committee back together, bring you up to speed. We're here to bring everyone up to speed.
That's what we need, because I don't want to lack of knowledge. I want this radio system to be beneficial. In fact, the sheriff and I had a conversation today, and he told me the importance and the need for the radio system, and but I'd like to be educated some on it.
Yeah, we want you to be. And you know, we're just in a transition of the board, and it's just one of those things, you know, we really didn't, a lot of times you can't plan for this, you know.
No, because it's
gonna
transition
happen.
of the board, that's right.
It's going to happen. So, and we've been at it for a year and a half, but nobody knew a year and a half ago we'd have to go with so many, you know, going back and actually educating, you know, anyone that hadn't been around the system.
And one thing the sheriff and I was talking about today, if we, looking at it, the foliage on the trees got a whole lot to do with it.
It does.
So that's coming pretty soon. Otherwise, we're gonna be kicked another year, so we need to make a decision as to how we're gonna do it, what we're gonna do, how much money we got to spend. How much money we got to spend is the biggest thing. You can have the greatest need in the world, and if you ain't got the funds, the budget to fund it.
Oh, sure. Can I go ahead into that?
Yes, sir.
I've got answers for you. And I did some research today just to get, you know, drilled down. I pretty much run this in my head because I've been working with it for so long. But I still had to check some things, and I want to check some dates. So here's some of the key points to think about. Well, number one is, you know, this is sticker shock. It's sticker shock to everybody, but it isn't fluff. You know, technology has driven this price up. COVID drove it up. It's been driven since 2019 in a rate that we have never seen in our business. And I've been running fire trucks for now 40 years now. and, you know, pushing the radio buttons and talking and being out there on the scene. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this in my career. The way it's gone up, but it's technology. And a lot of it's driven the LTE market, the phone market is now tying into the radio market, and digital is one reason. But components are heavy. But here's what I asked the consultant, to ask the vendor. If we miss our window of the foliage on the trees, and I know sometimes I hear in the public, you know, sometimes people get it backwards, but what their meaning is, you know, you have to test it during the summer because we need a full foliage. So if we test it like in fall, when everything's gone, we have missed our window. So what they're looking at is if we miss our window, we're going to go probably 10 months to 1 year further. That cost increase is going to be 10 to 15% on the system. And it's going to cost us our taxpayers an additional $750,000 to $1.2 million, depending on what that percentage is. So we've essentially washed our grant that we got, because the grant's $4 million. It took it from 7.7 to 6.7. So after the grant, and I'm only talking about the base of the system, not the maintenance. 6.7 is kind of the number we look at. So now we're looking at putting another possibly $1 million back.
Because they're going up by 10%, roughly, is that what you're saying?
It's 10%, 10% to 15%. Doesn't sound like a lot,
It's a whole lot on that kind of money.
on millions of dollars, it's a lot. So you're looking at that much increase if we miss the target. So the other thing I did is I called the grant people today at DOJ, and I wanted to know the performance window. And we got that grant actually when we started this project, because we were aggressive in going after it. And I remember a couple of delegates helped us, a couple of Congress people helped us to get this. It was actually in December of 22. I didn't realize it was that far back. So the performance window was 2 years, which means it ends on December 31 of this year, that we have to have spent that $1 million.
Well, the company take a
December.
prepayment and probably give us a discount.
As far as,
I'm being serious.
you get a discount?
I said they probably take that $1 million as a prepayment toward the system and even get a discount in prepaying them the grant money that you're speaking of, so we don't lose it.
And we had
One thing I might add too, the sheriff told me today that the system Nottoway is currently using is 1988. I think that's correct.
Roughly.
And it was somewhere around $850,000 then.
Yeah.
So if you look at 1988, $850,000 to 2024 to $7 million, it's a lot of money difference, but it really isn't for that many years,
Yeah, it is.
35 years.
That's right. And Mr. Toff, another thing too, we have more police cars, more fire trucks, more school buses than we had back in '89. So you're
One
right.
thing, while we're talking about it, one thing I did ask him today is, I got the word wrong, but you knew what I was talking about. What did you call it? In fact, I think you said the state police currently uses it.
A repeater?
A repeater. We talked about that today. Unlike the state police, the EMS and the sheriff's office, he said sometimes, you know, if you notice state police doing highway traffic stops are close to the car. And he said that he thought that those repeaters were good for a couple hundred yards, to maybe perhaps on a domestic call, they have to go on foot chase a half a mile or a mile.
That's right.
That's one, if you've not looked into that yet?
We have. And what Mr. Outlaw had referenced was, we've already, and most of you know this, we've already looked into that with the Farmville Herald, talked about the STAR system. It's totally apples to oranges. They control the fate of it. And then I wrote, I got someone to send me some information on it this week on updates. Cumberland signed on just before they put the halt on it. So they've got a 12-month halt on it now.
12-month halt on what? I'm not
On
following.
anyone getting on that STARS project. So see, that's what the Farmville Herald was talking about.
The STARS project being the
That's the repeaters getting on the troopers,
Yeah, you
the
have to
troopers'
have-
towers.
You have to have a repeater. What the troopers do is they work off the car, like you just mentioned. But with us, you know, we don't always work off of our vehicle. We'd have to have a repeater in every fire truck, every police car, every rescue.
I don't know what a
ambulance.
repeater is, but I bet you about half of 7.2 million buy a pile of them.
Well, it might, but there's a lot of maintenance to
But
that,
I'd like
too.
us to look into that.
Yeah. But you can't, again, the CARES, I'll give you this when you come to the meeting.
Okay.
It's totally apples to oranges. They control the fate of the whole system, and they won't allow certain things on the system.
I see. See, that's
So
something that I need to get
that's
educated
right.
on.
That's right.
Okay.
And they don't also give you subscriber units. See, ours is a total package. So, but all that'll be spelled out when you come to the meeting. We've got a really good package for you, and we've got the data. We've got the data.
When did you say the meeting was?
Well, we wanted to try to have this week, so Monday, Tuesday. We're not going Wednesday.
Of this coming week,
Right.
okay.
It's not livestock day.
My livestock there.
So
I got one question.
that was it for,
Do we have to do lump sum at one time if we approve this thing, or can it be carried in payments over a certain period of time?
sure, you're talking about the total project, Mr.
Yes.
Ingram? Oh, yeah, yeah, and we were hoping, and financial, we've been looking at financial options, and I know Mr. Collins and Ms. Norton, we've all talked about options. We don't have to really start writing checks, 2 years from now is when the system comes in.
Right, well, that's what I was asking.
It looks like some of the work, I got some figures for budget, 225,000 for the, excuse me, for the next fiscal year. Is part of the implementation work, but we need to drill down and see. But most of it doesn't come next year, it comes the year after that.
But going back to that $1 million grant you was talking about, these numbers are cut off on that.
Yeah, and it
So,
was
emphasize
designed for
on that.
hardware.
Sir?
It was designed for hardware. When we wrote it not for like consulting services, we wrote it for hardware.
Again, do you think they can take if we don't get it by then, can they take a prepayment?
We're gonna
And
talk
we
to
get
them. Yeah, we're gonna talk to them. Once we found that out today, we're gonna talk to the company tomorrow to see what we can do about that 1 million and just to go ahead and secure that. But again, we just need to know moving forward. We need to know the commitment. We need to know what to do next and just, looking for your guidance on it. That's what we're doing.
All right.
We know it's
And
tough.
that's December?
December 31, yeah, you can write that down. That is the drop dead date for the performance period for the grants. And that's a DOJ US grant, federal grant. That is the performance period.
All right, well, board members, y'all, you were done with your report, correct?
Yes, sir, I was just giving you tidbits on the radio.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I interject a little
Sure.
bit of information just to clarify? Being in finance for a lot of years, advance payments are usually prohibited by Title 31 of the United States Code. So typically, and it may be different for county government, but we typically are not allowed to advance pay.
advance pay
On a-
as in
as-
prepay?
Prepay, yes,
Oh,
sir.
I believe Mr. Hyde said he was going to check with them on
yeah.
that. So they'll have that at your meeting, possibly at the meeting next week?
Well, what we had talked about when we went for the 1 million, we knew it would be a 7 or 8. At the time, we didn't know exactly what the bottom line was, but we knew 1 million would only be like an eighth of it, maybe a seventh of it. And we asked them, what can we put it on? And so I think we can do phases.
Yeah, because the life of the system is 15 years. I believe any financial institution that will finance it would finance for at least 15 years.
And basically what the grant people are doing is sort of, I hate to use the word force, but they're sort of forcing us to use $1 million on that front end.
There you go.
You know, even though the rest of it's spread out over 14 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, and we heard what Mr. Toth said about the motion to have an attorney review
That's
that.
just my suggestion. I mean,
Yeah,
if we
yes,
need to
sir.
take a vote on it,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
How's the rest of the board feel? Do you want to move forward, or do you want to wait till after this meeting? I know, Mr. Collins, you're going to be at that meeting as well.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to get it reviewed.
Okay.
We'll see how the vote goes.
Okay.
We got to get going. I'll second it. We got to get going.
I move that we approve the county administrator to obtain the services of an attorney to perform a legal review of the contract by E.F. Johnson Company, JVC Kenwood, for the county radio communication system.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, with that second, is there any more discussion?
I think by the time we do the review, time will have come, they will have already met to answer some questions, because it takes time to appoint an attorney and get an appointment, so I don't think it should be a problem.
And just for clarification, again, as I understand it, this is in no way, shape, or form a commitment.
Other than to pay the attorney to do it. You got a commitment to that.
That's right.
All right. So I know what my vote's gonna be. Roll on.
Okay. All right, board members, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose.
Yes, sir. All right.
And in closing, Mr. Chair, as I mentioned with the, did you need to finish that?
No, you're fine.
In closing, I just, like I said on the grants a second ago, we're always, when we ask you to allow us to buy some things, we're always going to find ways to find the money for you, if we can do that. And so as we did with the grants, we all have chipped in and tried to find the grants. What we've done, I've got 5 copies, if I can enter the.
Yes, sir.
5 copies of funding alternative paper. They run off, and you can share these with the Board of Supervisors, which will include the 2 on the 2 members of the Finance Committee. I believe that's what Mr. Collins is doing.
That'd be me.
No, that's
I'm sorry,
Dickey.
Mr. Ingram, Ms. Norton.
Yes.
So this is a multi-page document that I've used as a playbook for the last 10 years. It's about a 10-year document. that the federal government put out to help us find funding alternatives. And it's everything under the sun in there. This act could be used to fund anything, but especially, you know, emergency services is what we kind of use that as a playbook. And not only does it have grants in it, but it tells you about the use of various local sources of revenue with minimal impact to taxpayers. So that's the key, is we're always going to be looking and trying to beat the bushes, for lack of a better word. You know, try to keep the taxpayer impact down, but finding a way that we can alternatively fund it. Because, you know, one thing about it, this is a core service. You know, Mr. Outlaw mentioned a second ago about the safety piece, I believe you mentioned, but it's a core service. So, you know, no matter if we, you know, whether a locality is a bedroom community or whether it's an industrial community, no matter what it is, you know, the 911 never stops, regardless of what our revenues are like in the county. We still got to answer those calls. So we recognize that, and the committee has had that on their mind. But without any further, Mr. Chair, I appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you for the vote.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. 1,600, he said.
16, but you only have to review less than 20.
Oh, you only have to review less than 20?
Yes, that's
Perhaps that would have changed my vote.
That's gonna
I
help
thought
you
the
on
attorney had to review 1,600 pages.
No, just about 20. About 20 some.
Buddy, thank you for
Thank you, buddy. It passed anyhow. You got it.
for the initiative you showed to give us this extra information for looking for money. We appreciate that.
Some good information in there.
Thank you for it.
So I do have one question, Mr. Bowen, if I could. Going back to the review.
Right.
If anything changes in there, we'll have to pay for a different review. Is that correct? If any of the wording or anything changes once it's been reviewed?
Well, it's just like, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes too, about the, when we got Mr. Walton to look at the review, the lease agreement with Riverside, he made a lot of change, a lot of he's looking at for the best interest for us.
Right.
So if they find a lot that don't look like it's best interest of us, it may take longer. And that's why I wanted to kind of get that out and get it moving.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right. And just to be clear, I know I'm asking some questions now that I should have asked before, but, and I know because in the conversations that I've had with you, you're only mentioning Mr. Walden's name because he had done some recent work.
Yeah.
When you do this search, you're casting a net. You're not going just directly to Mr. Walden, is that correct?
No, that was just a name that I just came up.
Right.
Actually, we're in the process of looking for some more options as far as attorneys. And Mr. Collins had sent me some ideas, and I've contacted somebody today.
Okay.
But just so you know, seeking legal services is not, and I've asked multiple people this and other county administrators, you do not have to seek bids for legals. That's exempt.
Right.
And when we did that before, that's how we end up with Sand Anderson, because they were only, attorneys know they don't have to bid.
Right. There you go.
So you're just looking for reasonable service and a reasonable fee?
Service, something close by, less travel, and it meets the budget that Nottoway County can afford.
Right.
That's all we're trying to do.
And I appreciate you sharing that with us for, transparency there, so everybody understands.
I thought we was getting ready to incur a $10,000 fee to look over 1,600 pages. It turned out to be 18.
It's okay. I mean, if one of the prevailing members, if there was an issue with it, we could revisit that, but you've also stated clearly where you're at with this.
Oh, yeah,
without that knowledge.
And I apologize to Mr. Toth. I probably should have said that before the motion.
All I heard him say was 1,600 pages, and I'm thinking, great, day in the morning.
All right. Mr. Collins, do you have anything from the Piedmont Regional Jail?
No, that meeting is coming up this week, so I don't have anything new.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be the 21st at 1 o'clock.
That's right. It's because of the way the schedule lands, they're the Wednesday before our board meeting, but it's the third Wednesday.
Yep. So I'll update the board next month.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything from Shane on the LRA?
Just I just want to make sure, and I'm trying to get, I don't think it had to be a vote, but I'm just making sure that because I know this is a board meeting, not authority meeting, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to find funds to do some renovation. We got a partnership with South Side Virginia Community College, and we wanted to take a room and make it into 4 rooms so they could. I went up there today, and those housing units for these linesmen, it was just filled up. And so we want to take a room and make it 4 rooms. And SVCC is willing to pay 60%. We pay 40%. which is equivalent to after we've already seek bids, did that legally, found a licensed contractor, and it's looking at somewhere in the $52,000. I think it was $52,000 range. I was looking at 20-some thousand for our share, but it's on a different line item. LRA does not have anything about capital improvements or anything which we need to rectify. That's another story. But I want to know, is the board okay if I know we're not going to spend $50,000 on another line item for HVAC? Can I move that line item to there to go ahead and move forward? Because to me, that's the priority one.
Well, that's going to be some income produced.
Yeah.
It was a good value. That was those 4 units we're going to create.
Right. So at the next LA,
$1,400 for 20 grand.
so if you give me permission to do that, the next LRA meeting, which is scheduled like first week in April, I'll show you what I did. But the money's not there. So, but it is there on another line item. Okay.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Mr. Bowen, in years past, prior to separating the LRA and the board of supervisors from the county,
right.
I'm sorry, I said board of supervisors, I'm thinking board meetings. But anyway, the authority from the county in the past has paid for those improvements out there
right.
in the past.
Right, right.
So
yeah, it's not making the money you think it's making.
right, right. So yeah, I'd be fine with that as well.
Okay.
All right, constitutional officers, Ms. Brown's not here. Sheriff, you have anything? Okay, Ms. Rayford, not here. Ms. Hudson?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Rayford included some new information in our packet today that we don't typically get. So I'd just like to thank her for that, even though she's not here.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ms. Hudson? Okay. Ms. Watrous, I didn't see her either.
Thank you for coming in here, Ms. Hudson.
Ms. Walters did say that she was in a training and she couldn't make it tonight, so anyway.
All right, unfinished business, the animal shelter update.
As you know, there was a groundbreaking for a water line yesterday.
What's that grin about?
But it was very...
Was it good?
It was well attended. The people were happy about it. I'm seeing good comments about it. So hopefully this is going to be the thing that people, as Mr. Boswell said at the end of the ceremony, write your checks. So hopefully that's going to boost some contributions. If you look at their total contributions are now $602,920. Yes, sir. Nottoway Cares is taken up, so.
I believe, Mr. Bowen, you're going to have a meeting this week, hopefully lead to a reduction in the cost.
Yes, sir. Wednesday, and we're going to talk about that a little bit further. But yes, Wednesday we're.
So we're pursuing a reduction in the cost and try to get this thing going.
So, and just so you know, we're very fortunate that Mike Gentry, who has been part of our community and our county for a while. For a long time, and he's got a lot of construction knowledge. So in that meeting, I asked him, and I said, I got to know free of charge, right, Mike? He said, this time for you, Steve. But we're going to put him at the table, and just like the other day, him and I was having a conversation. He's already thought of 3 or 4 ideas that might reduce the cost.
Yep.
Anyway, so we're having him at the table to make sure we all agree, and then we'll see what happens from there. Anyway.
Good deal.
Okay.
Great. Okay. The BIA.net.
All right, that's let's see, I-2 of your package, am I right?
Yes, sir.
That's another reason I got, and I think Ms. Hudson, I used to never see Ms. Hudson there. I see her all the time. I don't mind walking over there, and she heads my way. I think this, and Ms. Hudson, please hire me in, because you know I'm going to dig a hole here in a minute. This Bright system, if we improve it, it can have a lot of advantages, like people could pay online. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so I'm asking the board if we can accept this the updated Bright system. And the cost is in the package, is that right? That is correct. Okay. Which is the total is county paid is $36,778? Is that the, no, I'm wrong. See, I told you. You said I was going to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Please, Mr. Chairman, I'm digging a hole. I think that might be in another section.
It might be in the package.
H4,
H4.
yeah, right here, I got it.
Where did you
Gotcha.
Page 4 and I-2 show everything.
It's, okay, yeah, I got you. Thank you.
You got it?
It's, let me see.
I don't have page 4.
Quarterly refunds.
You want my glasses? I don't think nobody heard me say that. Even though I'm on a microphone.
Are you looking at this tiny, tiny little stuff?
Yeah. Is that from the Bright system?
No, where is the sheet that I gave you guys that is from Bright, from BAI? Because that has the figures
The letter with the figures? This letter?
When we spoke, Christie, I think it was like around $24,000.
24, 28.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah.
Off the top of
So-
my head. The maintenance is the 8,000 and something a year, so that's where the 36.
And that gives the citizens pay online. I can go
Yes.
online and buy my dog tag, right?
I would imagine
I
so.
can go online
That's
and
a
pay,
treasurer
I can
question,
go on
but
and pay my real estate tax.
yes. You can go online, change your address.
Use your credit card or your debit card.
Yes, you can, and you can
Okay.
update your address, you can update your vehicles, you can do your business
The
license
other
online.
the other thing we talked about was the ability of Mr. Bowen to have overwatch on invoices and things that were being paid or being sent to be paid. Is that correct? As you logged in, different people had different.
I think we were talking about maybe Ms. Chandler could connect somehow to it with our
Well, on the
finance director.
finance side.
Right, yeah, but yes, yeah.
Is there gonna be a charge if you use a credit card or debit card?
You have to, all right, so BAI uses what's called as PayFlow, and it's through PayPal. So Tammy would have to get with PayPal to negotiate rates.
Right.
But the good thing is, my office, her office, the administrator's office, we wouldn't have any of the credit card information on file. We wouldn't see any of it. It's all through PayPal.
Okay.
Ms. Rayford told me today that the cost for the fee they charge is 2.5%, which doesn't even cover the cost of
Right.
our usage.
If I may, what are we currently right now with that 8,000 plus? What exactly are we getting for that service? Is the training through them, is that additional cost?
Yes, any training that we want done, that would be additional, like for the queries that
Okay.
we talked about, that's additional. That maintenance is things that they do each month to the inside of the system. There is a spot you can go onto their website and it tells you what they've done each month.
Okay.
And I can get that for y'all too, to look
Alright.
at.
Yeah, so pretty much,
But
that's
it's
the
just
same amount.
maintenance to keep it running smooth, that fixes any bugs that might be in the programs or whatever.
Could we get a training, Mr. Chairman, sorry, could we get a training packet amount? I think it's vitally important whenever you have a system like this, is we provide you training, which is, we've fallen short on that.
So that'd be for the employees.
Yes,
We
for the
would- We would know
employees.
if we hired somebody that.
Yes, or if
Beginning training
if
was
they get
this.
a new module, they need to have training to upgrade. And and Christie and I spoke about this week, that she could have a training here in-house, and she could invite other counties to join that, and they could pay part of the cost.
Yes.
But we've got to start allowing our staff to have training to keep up to speed with what
Yes.
we're doing.
Because the queries are really expensive to go take those classes, and they're very beneficial. I know enough to get by on the queries. I can poke and, and get what I want, but they are expensive. But they can come here, and that's something we can think about.
And they'll leave you a manual to it too as well, right?
Yes,
Which you probably reference often.
which I have one.
Okay, okay,
I have one. It's an older one.
I see,
So we need an updated one.
got you.
It's just really important that we all get on the same page, all the other offices, we can talk, share reporting, and know where we're at any given time.
I would love to know where we're at any given time. That'd be great.
It would be wonderful.
I tell you, I gotta say this, there was a lady out there 3, 4 years ago that was screaming about this, and she was right. She was right. And Ms. Hudson, you brought this forward several times as well about, you know, we need this upgrade, but
we gonna make a motion tonight, or?
That's what I was gonna say. Do we need a motion to?
I'll make a motion that we.
I'll second it.
Okay.
wait a minute, let her make the
Let
motion.
me make a motion
She's liable to spend $1 million over here.
Motion that we fund this,
that we fund the proposal that Ms. Hudson has brought forth for Bright.
So upgrade to Bright, right?
All right,
I will second it.
okay. Now that we have a second for additional discussion, should we get a price before we put a motion on the floor?
a specific price.
Yes.
I think she's got it, but we ain't been able to put our fingers on it, have we?
I have all of y'all have it, but I have it too in the office.
We'll leave that to the
I've
county
seen it on
administrator
Yes,
to
I
approve.
It's
emailed
on
it
an
to all
email.
of you.
Mr. Bowen can,
Mr. Bowen can approve the price.
Yeah,
consult with the
Miss Hudson, she's on top of this one,
Okay.
okay.
So,
as other things. And don't go anywhere after this is over with.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Norton, would you want to amend your motion for the county administrator to run point on that once he gets that figure? Okay? Just your
That's
second
fine.
stab.
That's
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, River
Can I
Street
walk
leases.
away, just not leave?
No, not yet,
Oh,
please.
okay.
Anyway, you're so wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
So River Street leases. So just want to make sure the board understands, and I had called Ms. Hudson about this, and just in passing, she don't really, so they want to lease a 50 by 50, and you wanted them to get the option to buy. But I just want to make sure, you want them to buy a 50 by 50 lot on our land.
That was the recommendation of our attorney because of,
Right, I know, he said that, but
he
I
didn't want
don't,
us waiving our rights to liability or our,
but you understand
Can't.
that that's going to be .00 something acres, because we sell land in acres, right, Ms. Hudson?
You don't have to sell land in acres. You can sell acres and boundaries, gross and boundaries. It does not have to be an acre of land, no, sir, to answer that question.
No, I hope I didn't say it like that. I said it's going to be .000 something acres.
It would go from one point to the next, however how many feet is inside of it, boundary.
Okay.
it'd be the legal description.
I don't think we've ever done that, right? But not that we know of. I just want to make sure y'all
I
understand.
happen to, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and
Okay.
Steve, I happen to be in Ken's office today on some other matters, and I brought that topic up. And he said with the provisions of the lease agreement, because it looks like that's what they would rather do since they had never done it before, that he wanted to make some amendments to it, and he's been waiting for a pretty good while for the attorney from Brightspeed to, what is it?
River Street.
River Street, I mean, it's talking about something different, to contact him back, and they haven't done so yet. He's been waiting for.
Okay, so if
Should we just go away from the idea of them buying it if he can get the language right?
I think we should. I think we should go away with it because River Street is so used to other localities leasing it to them.
Right.
So we let Ken get the language right and we'll proceed.
And part of the language being right would be some sort of insurance that would protect the county, some sort of liability insurance.
All right.
That's my feeling.
right.
I like it.
Yeah, they
think
can list
that's-
us as additionally
Well, when you think
insured.
about having to survey and go through planning, because you have to go
Right.
through planning.
Correct.
And then you have a public hearing to sell property.
And see, he's gonna lose out that $1 million at the end of the year on that. He's just like the other system.
Yeah.
Remember he telling us that
Right.
we need to scoot the thing along because they was gonna lose out on it.
Yep.
All right.
Steve, can you communicate to Ken that we are,
Most definitely. I'll call him
get the
tomorrow.
language right and
Right.
we'll move on.
And insurance being one of them, Steve, if you would.
Yeah, I think we would be
Insurance,
listed as the initially assured on
We
that.
should be.
Yes.
And I'm sure Ken will take care of that.
Yeah, and I understand why you did it, because that was Ken's recommendation on it. Okay.
All right, the board appointments.
Mr. Chairman,
Do we have to do anything yet, Mr. Chairman? No.
I don't think so. We good?
No,
All right.
we have a-
So the board appointment is, that normally this is for, and I see that, Mr. Toth, I understand SCWDB stands for Southern Central Workforce Development Board.
Thank you.
And CLEO is Chief Local Elected Official, Chief. So I need y'all to appoint Mr. Rourke, who is the chairman. That's what normally on that, and it's a time when you can't meet, and put me down as alternate, and I can take his place for those meetings for the Southern Central Workforce Development Board. But I need y'all to vote on that.
This is CLEO.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Well, good question. So I went to one meeting. They they get a lot of grant, it's a lot of grant money involved, and what they do is they get people in the workforce who's not employed, single moms, you know, find out their talents, they go, they help them and see if they can get them in the workforce to actually work. And it's some success, but it's not some, you know, it's just what it is, you know.
Right.
Anyway, but and I think that was initiated by the state years ago, because one of our problems here in Southside Virginia is lack of training.
All right, well, board members, Administrator Bowen is asking for a motion to have myself appointed myself as the alternate to the SC WDB's CLEO.
I'm sorry.
Board,
Sorry,
correct?
Yes.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
All
you,
right, Planning
Mr.
Commission.
Chairman.
Yes, sir. Planning Commission reappointment.
Zodi.
Very quickly, I checked, it was both, gosh, I'm sorry, Jeff Lavelle has,
Frankie Williamson.
he wants to go again, and Frankie Williamson also wants to continue serving as well. Those were the two appointments that were up. Am I correct, Ms.?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Lavelle was in my district, and since as the chair, I cannot make a motion. I'd ask if someone would be kind enough.
I think we already did Mr. Lavelle last month, didn't we? Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So we'll just do Mr. Williamson.
Mr. Williamson, yeah.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Williamson back to the planning commission.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, new business. Mr. Collins, you got something under J1, vote for the county administrator.
Yeah, this is, under Robert's rules, we can amend something already approved, and it's just one word. I had an error in my January 2nd motion appointing, the motion was appoint Steve Bowen, county administrator. And I'd like to amend that to appoint Steve Bowen, interim county administrator. And that's a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, got that taken care of too.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, in the package on J2 is to set the dog confinement, and this, and I appreciate Ms. Norton. I said, please run the ad in the newspapers. There have been papers, but anyway. But I'd like to run that public notice. If you give me the authority to run that public notice, which we have normally done the confinement between April 1st to May 31st.
Board members, what we're looking for is a motion to advertise in the local newspapers for 2 weeks, March 18th through 2024 and March 25th, 2024, with a public notice of dog confinement.
And the confinement's going to be April 1st to May 31st?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll make
that
that
motion.
All right, can I get a
I'll
second?
second it.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, there you go, Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowen. All right, next, board members, I sent y'all an email earlier. Huh?
Mr. Chairman, J3, if we could.
Oh, did I?
I'm sorry.
Did I skip that?
I know you got J4.
Oh,
If
yes.
you don't mind.
Okay, Piedmont Regional Jail Alternate, yes.
Shouldn't take long.
Okay.
If you look on your package, J3, I have to have, if I'm gonna have an alternate that can vote, and with the jail, Piedmont Regional Jail, I need the board's a vote of, to give an alternate. It's all about, with Piedmont Regional, it's not all about, but it's a lot about finance, and I recommend that Ms. Chandler, Martina Chandler, would be my alternate when I can't get there. And next week is a prime example. I can't get there. I'm with the, I'm having a meeting about the animal shelter. So, but I talked to Ms. G, who's the county administrator in Lunenburg, who's also the chairman of that board, and she goes, Steve, you have got to get that vote from the board of supervisors.
Okay.
For that alternate.
I think it's a great idea because of the amount of money that Nottoway County sends.
Right.
Yes.
That Ms. Chandler be involved.
You put that in the form of a motion.
I'll put that in the form of a motion. This is to make Ms. Chandler alternate for Steve Bowen on the Piedmont Regional Jail.
Yep, I second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Yes, sir. All right. And forgive me for my haste on the other thing, for missing that. All right, so I'd just like to read this for public and the board tonight. With February being Black History Month and recognizing that the current board lacks diversity, I wanted to offer an idea of how to bring appropriate recognition to the numerous black citizens of Nottoway County that have been instrumental during the county's history in many positive ways. My first thought came to be a Ring of Honor, such as the Nottoway County Black History Ring of Honor. I brought this idea to Administrator Bowen, and we decided to have some conversations with citizens from the county. In those conversations, the idea grew into something I firmly believe this county needs and would benefit from in many ways, and two of the greatest benefits, I believe, would be recognition to our citizens who deserve it, as well as to bring all communities closer to each other, as we should be, because our county needs to get back to civility and stability. What I'm proposing and asking is for the board to consider moving forward, selecting 3 citizens from each district to serve on a diverse committee starting in maybe July or August. No board members would serve on the committee. The whole idea is open to suggestions and is in no way intended to be a one-person show. Personally, I feel we should have women, men, and our younger adults who are far too often feel as though they have no voice be selected to this committee. The purpose of this committee would be to offer suggestions on how the county can better bring proper recognition to its citizens during certain times of the year. For example, Black History Month, Veterans Day, EMS Week, and Cinco de Mayo, to name a few, and how to best offer the appropriate recognitions, whether it be through proclamations or resolutions or even a different option. The committee would gather information and bring their recommendations to the board for possible implementation. Any recommendations that may be implemented will be done so with the intention to be ceremoniously remembered by the county on a yearly basis. Again, all of this is wide open for discussion prior to taking any action to form the committee. So did y'all have any questions about what I sent, and how do y'all feel as far as possibly moving forward with looking for names to bring forth to form the committee?
You said 3 from each district, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I do too.
Okay.
Something that should have been done a long time ago. Really.
Mr. Collins?
Well, we've lost a lot in this county. It's COVID, and we don't have festivals anymore.
Right.
So if a group could get together and say, hey, we're going to celebrate this particular person or this particular day, and it helps the county enjoy each other's company, I think that's fine.
Yep.
Fellowship.
I think it's a good idea, and forgive me, Mr. Rourke, I didn't get this email today until like after 3:30, so I didn't get to read all of it, but from hearing you read it, it's a very good concept. We just need to figure it out a little more.
Okay, all right. So what we'll do in the meantime then, if y'all want to start looking for citizens and reaching out to them from your districts to see who could possibly serve, and feel free to make any notes or share.
What would you call it?
Well, that's something we could decide that before the establishment. And the other thing with this is once this committee would come together, I think the initial meeting we may have asked the county administrator to be there, but then back off. This is something that we feel like we need to let the citizens.
Yeah, we establish it, and then y'all take care of it and run it.
Right, and the thing is, there'll be no voting power, there'll be no authority. It's just bringing recommendations back here, because I mean, it could be anything that this county is loaded with nurses. And there is a Nurses Week out there. But I think the more we have the citizens involved in this, the more we will get it right, the more they'll feel their voices are being heard in this. And there's nothing wrong, because if you think about it, just a few years ago, we didn't have a county website. I mean, to so much as say, hey, we appreciate the nurses, or we appreciate this. And, anybody that develops something and brings back in this board implements, again, it could be ceremoniously year after year.
And we could use the school board as example. I attended their school board meeting at the invitation of Mr. Abbott, and they recognize each month different groups within the school, but we could mirror their program. They do a wonderful job with that.
Yeah, that would be good. So if y'all want to start with that, then we'll revisit this in maybe a month or so, kind of go from there, because I know we got a lot on our plate, but I feel like this is very important for the civility and stability of this county moving forward.
I think it's great.
All right, well, thank y'all, appreciate that. We're gonna move on now to the consent items. Y'all have that in your package. I would need a motion, unless there's any questions or discussion on that, a motion to accept the consent items.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Then we got correspondence items that is in there as your package as well. Was there any questions or discussion on any of those items?
Anything you want to bring up? Mr. Chairman, I would like to mention the NAACP breakfast that's coming up. Everyone is welcome. It is February the 19th at 9 a.m. at Nottoway Civic League. Donations are $20 at the door, or you can RSVP at 767-2354. But it's the NAACP, Nottoway County Black History Prayer Breakfast.
Okay.
Also, I would like to mention the Virginia Cooperative Extension. I attended that gathering. That was a really, really good gathering. I got to meet, and I have to look at his name so I don't mutilate it, Mr. Mike Gutter. We met with all of the Planning District 14 different folks to introduce all of us to Mr. Gutter. He came here from Florida, and I was talking at length with Abby Messer, who's involved with that program, and she said that the Florida program that he had down there is wonderful. They're going to try to move some of that here because traditionally agricultural, natural resources, 4-H, family consumer services all work separately. But because of change in society and the economy, they're going to try to revamp that process and bring more of it together to form extension teams. And a lot of that has to do with volunteerism, because we all know that volunteerism is lacking. But I also talked with Terry Abson. She's the 4-H Positive Youth Unit Development Coordinator here. Very, very positive changes coming about. Most of the programs they will be advertising, and they're free programs. So just something to point out that is positive in our community.
All right.
Mr. Hyde, I wanted to ask you, I'm going to be attending the CRC meeting next Wednesday. I want to ask them about grants. And so if anything you can think of between now and then, let me know, because, that's a big source of funds for a lot of places. And we've got our report. Drake's branch got a hazard mitigation grant program going. They've got community outreach, preparedness, emergency preparedness grants going. So it's a way to get money. And I'm sure everybody's up there has got the hand out, especially Prince Edward now, since they're getting ready to do their thing. So anything you can think of between now and then, let me know. Meeting's, I think, 9 o'clock Wednesday, Steve, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, that's right, yes, sir.
Mr. Hyde, I think you had said previously that sometimes generators were eligible for grants, and so if a generator was on our emergency communications.
Right, I would like to address that. The hazard mitigation, I do work with CRC on that.
Right.
So the hazard mitigation plan is being reviewed by FEMA right now.
Okay.
So when you talk to Todd Fortune and Melody Foster next week, I was up there, they gave us 50 kits last week, which I'm getting ready to distribute those in Nottoway.
Okay.
They were free on a grant that CRC did. That's another topic, but the biggest bang for your buck is water lines. And I don't mean necessarily a new system. I'm talking about upgrading what Crew or Burkeville has or whatever. That is in the mitigation plan. We've got it in all 3 towns and in Nottoway County. And that's probably the biggest bang for the buck out of all of what we've got in there.
Definitely want to be all over that.
But he can give you a copy of Nottoway Counties. We've got an upgraded,
Let me get that from you.
It's a fresh plan.
Let me get that before
sir.
I go.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, County Administrator report.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, since you had mentioned about the courthouse securities, so let me just say this first. Sheriff Jones, Buddy Hyde, I know Matt Hubbard had done something, our maintenance supervisors, and Nicholas Bowles. they really did a lot of work, and especially Sheriff Jones. And actually, I think he walked around with the people of the security, and he really come up with some really great ideas that I think is reasonable and affordable. And so to kind of give you an idea, kind of break down, we need 2 sally ports. And when I say sally port, and I watched it the other day, they'll bring in, and Sheriff, you hire him in anytime, they bring in an inmate and he's shackled, but he's out in the open, and then you try to take him down the steps to get him on the elevator to come up into the courthouse. We need a sally port where you go in, they shut the gate, then they let the inmate out so he just doesn't run around, or he can just see anybody. So we're looking at some type of fencing that's got a mesh on it so you can see a silhouette, but you can't see that person. We actually had an incident where one did run, and my understanding, and I think it was Willie who grabbed him in the cow pasture or something. I don't know, somewhere close anyway.
Going over the fence.
Anyway, so that was some action at one time before my time. But anyway, also we're looking at maybe having a new parking lot. What is happening now? The judge doesn't have a special parking. In other words, if he's got a big trial, and you see the stuff on TV about judges and their safety. If he has a big trial, he's got to park with the people. And the jurors as well.
Yes.
And so we're looking at making a parking lot out back, kind of directly behind Christie's office, and see how we can do it. And I counted the other day, looking at probably somewhere, if you do like 14 parking spaces on one side, about 28. So maybe, I got to see it. I got to see that. I got to do some figuring, and I got to have some more conversation before we bid that out. I mentioned y'all about the roofs at the facility, at the 2 courthouses. So I did find out we are going to bring somebody in to do an assessment, not a contractor, somebody who understands slate roofing, because it is a historical building, both, and replace it with slate if we have to. I know we have a leak, but we've had 2 leaks, and we've repaired one of them since I've been in this position over there at the circuit court. It was a trash can leaking back here one time, and I thought that was the roof, but I did verify through Nicholas. They think that was the AC unit on top of the unit. All right, so if we may be okay with roofs. We may just have to replace one, not both. So that's. But I got to get the roof fixed before I start replacing carpet. If you go around and see these stains, we try to get those stains out. If it got so wet, some of the staff saying, it's almost like it smells moldy if you shut it up in here long enough. So basically, and then the other one is a handicap ramp on the front entrance of the circuit court. We figured out the fall and how that can happen. So basically, the only way, and the sheriff, if a handicapped person comes in, they have to go in an elevator where the inmates go, pretty much. Okay, so we got to rectify that. And you know how it is. They built churches and courthouses years ago. It just wasn't handicap accessible. And so we got some ideas of that. So basically, look at 2 sally ports right now. Not sure about the roof, a parking lot, and then we eventually, let's call this phase 2 or 3. We have got to get the treasurer's office out of that basement area.
Agree.
And so, but let's don't go there yet. Let's take care of the security part. And so the judge can be happy too. But if you go back in there and look in his area, that carpet needs to be replaced and that kind of thing. And you can see the stains and things like that. And if we do replace the carpet, we're going to place it with the kind that you can, if something spills, you can just take out a section.
Right.
And not take the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve, let me ask you a question.
Sir.
When they redid some of the stuff and made it a historic district, the county had an architect that came in and looked at, I think, because I was on the board of the Historical Association, and we had a guy up there pointing brick. And it got back to me that architect told somebody to go down and tell him, quit doing that because you're using the wrong mortar. And if y'all have looked at old buildings, if you try to put new mortar in those old places, it pops the top off of bricks. So we had to stop the guy down there. So it's something to look at.
Right.
In fact, I can't remember the name of the guy, but I met him. The guy that came and the architect that did the.
Well, that question came up, Mr. Ingram. Just like the handicap ramp. So if you look at the handicap ramp, you can buy those things prefabbed and then you put them up. And we have one right there on the Commissioner of Revenue's front entrance. And the question came up, well, do I have to put a historical handicap ramp? Well, it's nothing historic. I mean, there was no handicap ramp.
Right,
so,
right.
But is it going to look right, have a modern, I don't, that's something I got to.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make it accessible.
Certainly.
Right. But there's a nice handicap, handicap ramp going into the administrator's office over here. Front entrance.
Right.
That looks pretty historic to me, but it's new.
Oh, you talking about going down to the treasurer's office?
No, over here in the front.
The front of the admin office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's not historical though.
Yeah.
The admin
Certainly
office,
take into
I thought the whole
account the
complex
aesthetics,
was.
how
No,
it
just
looks.
that part of the courthouse.
Just that
Well,
second court.
I think
That'd be a ramp.
I think the clerk's office is.
I thought it was. but
Clerk's
it burnt
office went up
down.
at the same time as pretty much at
It-
the
it-
same
it-
time
it
that
burnt- it burnt
the
down,
courthouse
though,
went
Mr.
up.
Ingram.
That clerk's office is old,
The clerk's office burnt down.
and they rebuilt.
Right.
But Davenport has, if you see Davenport's report, it said something about maybe having some type of
Credit line.
Right. So that I could pull and start making some of the improvements. But we'll let me get some pricing. It's just like one of the staff, and it doesn't matter who, said, "Hey, I think a sliding gate for the Sally Port would be best." And then the sheriff said, "I need to know what the sheriff needs because it's his folks that are bringing them in now that works, So I got to get that straight. So, but anyway, but Sheriff, thank you so much. He's done a lot of hard work on that, and we need to move
That sounds
forward.
like a very reasonable way to provide the judge with security and inexpensively. We don't have to, we're not building.
They don't have to have a cover over top of it.
Right.
Does it needs razor wire up there, Sheriff, or no? Nope.
No.
So thank you, Steve. That's a very reasonable solution.
But
to this
like I say, I'll give credit to the sheriff. He did that. I mean, he took
Thank you,
it.
Sheriff.
Yeah, he did that. I'm just, the train has already left the station. I'm packing up and jumping on it with him. Miss Shannon Reed, I had a meeting with her. That's the social services director. She is, because Philip called me, Van Norbeck, he said, "Hey, Steve, if she needs another vehicle, go get a USDA loan." So, Mr. Ingram, to answer your question, we're going through CRC. They're helping us with that. So if you could bring that up, see how that's going. We during that process, I said, well, how do where are we going to buy our vehicles? Well, we can go on state contract and get the vehicles. So for procurement regulations, we should be okay. I know we're okay because I've asked multiple other county administrators. They said, "Steve, go for it." But she's looking for a vehicle that holds families, can put a car seat in. And I see what she's running into. If she has to go, let's say it's a family of 5, and you don't know what these children have been through, and if she don't have the right vehicle, 2 of them might have to ride with someone else, and then another one, someone else, and just being away from each other is really hard on that family. So, anyway, so we're moving forward with that. Also, Shannon Reed wants to, and I said, "Hey, shop till you drop." She's looking for, is it some way better health insurance for the employees? She's looking at retention and recruitment and see if we can somehow partner with the state. I know VACO at one time was trying to get a network of all counties with health insurance. This is not something that we're going to get done this budget, but it's something maybe we can talk about in the future, that kind of thing. I'm still working on about the legal advice about the local redevelopment authority. What can we do and what we can't do as far as funds since that authority was developed. And that's important in a sense too. I'll give you an example. They have a budget out there of maintenance. Okay, so I'm in a process, and I'm getting ready to ask y'all to have that's on the list too. I'm getting ready to request for the personnel committee to get together. And the reason why I'm asking that, and I forgot who's on that. Is that you, Mr.
John and I.
Okay, Mr. Roy, can you? So that probably might be on a Tuesday, and I know I have to work with y'all schedules. But we got a maintenance supervisor. I don't really need a supervisor. I need a lead worker. So we're in the process of changing that title, but I need the personnel to look at that and understand that. And I like to experiment. I like for that maintenance person and the other person work this complex and the local authority. So I don't
I
have to
agree.
have two maintenance people, okay?
We can do it,
So that's the kind of thing I want to get with the Personnel Committee and see how we can make some restructuring moves, but make sure we're okay, because I know it's the LRA, and that's the thing I got to be sure that's right. Another important issue that's came up is, and that came up at the EDC, the Crew Burkeville Chamber is dissolving, and the EDC said, hey, Steve, don't stand back and look at it. So I got Greg Zodi involved in that, and it's not other duties assigned. I told Greg, I said, Greg, look, it's economic development. To me, you got to stop the bleeding too. So we got to figure out how. So we had a couple conversations with Beth Robertson, who has been part of our community for years, and I think her and Tommy are retiring and moving like to Smith Mountain Lake or something. And anyway, let me tell you the bottom line is it time for a Nottoway chamber? Okay, some people, some citizens like it. Some business owners like it, some don't, okay? So I reached out to Brunswick because Brunswick did it. They have a Brunswick chamber. It can be done, but it takes some people to agree, to disagree, and agree, you know? So, but when you say that, you say, well, we get into the chamber business. Well, the way Brunswick did it, they became like a Gold Star member where they pay $2,000 and to help them or and help with grants and things like that. But anyway, all I've done so far is just dip my toe in that. But it's more meetings to come. But some people, some citizens, and some business owners want us to keep moving forward with that. But I got to say like it is. You know, Blackstone's got to agree. You know, the Blackstone Chamber has to agree on that.
Yeah, because otherwise that's going to pull members of their chamber out.
That's right.
Me,
that's right.
One of my entities, I can tell you, is not going to pay dues in a county chamber as well as the Blackstone chamber.
Right, they're not going to do two. That's right. And you're 100% right. And the other problem is some people are pulling out because the environment's got a lot of conflict. And so, but I can't fix conflict. Conflict's here before me, and it will be long here after I'm gone. So, but anyway, yes, sir, Mr. Toth, and I fully realize that. But I'm still just letting the EDC know and the board know that we do want to keep the chambers together. All right.
Let me ask a question. Did I see correctly that Blackstone has hired a new chamber director?
Yes.
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 And I believe that gentleman may live in my district. I'm not sure.
I believe he does. He's got I saw the back of his SUV, it's a van, and he has a little farm, and he's got a sticker on,
I saw
on the window.
And so I've been trying to figure out
Has it
exactly
been
where he
in the
lives.
public, the name of the fellow?
Yeah, it was in the paper.
Who was the guy's name then?
I can't think of his name
Oh, okay.
now, but he's got a
He
little.
just moved.
Yeah,
He retired and moved back here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's got a little farm, and I can't even think of the name of it. But anyway.
It starts with a W.
So did Ms. Rose, I'm assuming, that she resigned? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
She's moving to Colorado or something, right?
Is that what she's doing?
I think that's what I
Okay,
heard.
I mean, she was the one at our meeting, and that's why I was
Right,
thinking.
yeah, she's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and I'm sharing this with the board to use your contacts, talk to you, the people you represent, and help me get there from here. That's what I'm asking. I'm trying to hold a meeting. I'll let you know more about this. We're going to have to take a day of listening to department heads' requests, and so this is their budget request, and I'm going for right now March 26th, which is a Tuesday, because I realize people's schedule. But can you just pencil that in right now, March 26th, and that's going to be like 30 minutes for each department head and organizations we've partnered with for many years, as Ms. Robinson had brought up today, the PSR. Piedmont Senior Resources, and so they'll come and give their spiel and that type of thing. Anyway.
What time and where at?
Well, I ain't got that yet. Can you just pencil it in a day?
March 26th,
Yes,
okay.
Call it Steve Bowen Day.
Steve Bowen Day. All right.
All right. So, all right. Thank you, Ms. Toe.
Thank you, sir.
The audit results should be in by Monday or Tuesday. Okay. So let's back up so you know. That's 2023 audit results. We're behind. And so if we're going to put out RFPs, and it's been suggested some of the, to start the audit process in 2024, which when we finish in July. So we really need to be putting out, you know, RFPs now for start ordering when the clock strikes 12 on June 29th or whatever date that is.
All right,
okay?
if you don't mind, hold right there.
Okay.
Board members, if we want, do you want us to go ahead and put that motion on the floor to go ahead and give you the authority to advertise the RFP?
Yes, sir, that'd be
for the
great.
consultant?
That'd be great.
All right, can I get somebody to put a motion on the floor to put out the RFPs for consultant services?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you for that, Mr.
When you say consultant services, you mean the
RFP for audit.
okay, for audit. Okay, just want to make sure I get that in the motion.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Getting down to the short roads now. So, looking at my notes here. Yeah, also in the personnel issue, you know, we went in closed session, and that'll be another thing that will come from that personnel committee that we need to discuss. March 19th is President's Day, which is Monday. The office will be closed, but the convenience centers will be open.
February 19th.
Yeah.
You said March 19th.
I sure did.
It's coming Monday.
And I wrote down March 19th.
I said, when
So
you
bad as that.
And that's,
thought you'd moved the date
well,
on
no, I did that to see if
That's also
Mr.
the-
Ingram
That's
was
also
paying
the
attention.
NAACP breakfast.
Mr. Ingram, you did
Yes,
good
it
around.
is.
He didn't have to teach school on that day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what day it is.
All right.
I corrected him many times when
Yeah,
I
he
had him in
has
class.
that. He taught me general business. I still can't get it right. Mr. Carter, Wayne Carter, is retiring. He's the county administrator there in Mecklenburg County over 20 years. And the reason I just mentioned that, I think they might do something for him, but I probably would send a card representing, coming from you guys and
Please
ladies.
do.
And he was very instrumental telling us about solar. He slapped us in the face, said, "Hey, solar's coming, and you need to be ready." So, but anyway, congratulations, Mr. Carter, for retiring. And with that, sir, that's my report.
All right, board members, we're going to move to the comments section here. Mr. Collins, do you have any comments, sir?
I do. So next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, is a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. There we will discuss and probably, if we can, come to agreement, vote on the solar ordinance for the county. The ordinance has been built by the committee. Mr. Ingram is on that committee. It is a very strict ordinance. Solar is used by special exception. Because we're approving an ordinance does not mean that thousands of acres of solar are coming. If somebody wants to make an application, they go to planning under our ordinance, and then perhaps you get a project. It's got to be approved by planning, and then it'll come here and be approved. So it's two public hearings. So any citizen that's got an opinion on solar, now is your time. Between now and Tuesday, contact your supervisor, let us know what you think. This is the time. That's all I got.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ingram?
I will second Mr. Collins. I've reached out to people that I know, and I've asked them to look at the Friends of Charlotte, Virginia website or page on Facebook. They have done extensive research on solar, and they're in a panic because of what they've had happen to them already. I mean, they've got 26,000 acres committed to solar in Charlotte County and wanting more. So these people have pretty much done a lot of research to see pros and cons. The only pro that I could even see is money. And it depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice of your rural area for the money. And to me, it's not a question for me. I mean, I want to keep the county. Our comprehensive plan says keep Nottoway rural. I think that's what I've talked to a gentleman yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I told him, I said, the greater majority of people in Nottoway County do not want industrial solar. I mean, what the Planning Commission did in this ordinance was to try to make something that was a compromise. I mean, and then I get the comments, well, if 800 feet is too, I mean, what is a reasonable setback? The idea was if we make it 800 feet, you're protecting the people on either side, front and back of this project. It's protecting the neighbors. Somebody said, well, I want willing landowner. I said, well, what about the willing neighbors? how do you talk to them and say, hey, you want this thing next door to you? Studies have been done, land values go down 5 to 7% next door. And is that what you want next door to you? So be here next Tuesday night.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ingram. Ms. Norton?
Just want to apprise everyone of our visit to Richmond's VACO Legislative Day. Mr. Ingram, Mr. Collins, Mr. Bowen, myself, and Mr. Zodi attended that. We received a handout with a plethora of bills that are going to be impacting the county government, and Mr. Zodi has been following that and apprising us. A lot of them, if passed, will impact us greatly monetarily. And with that being said, going into, I attended the 7th, we had a finance committee meeting. It's the first one that we've ever had of that type. We have composed a finance committee. I'm the chair of that committee. We met with Davenport to set the stage. We're going to meet again. But we are following, and I want to address what Mr. Outlaw's concerns were, fiscal responsibility. We are looking at things in a different way. We are seeking other opportunities to garner revenue other than your pocketbook. We are diligently looking at that. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with some things we've come up with. And with that said, I also want to thank Ms. Robertson for coming tonight. I am also on that Piedmont Senior Resources, and they provide wonderful opportunities. We had a meeting the other night. It was virtual. Justine Young, under her leadership, things are moving in a new direction, and they've fully hired all the open positions. We're real excited, and Ms. Robertson, I reiterate your concern of our being able to fund PSR in the manner it should be funded. And other than that, I did attend the CARES groundbreaking with Mr. Ingram. Great day, wonderful day for us.
Water line.
The water line. Yes, the water line. But being from a background of philanthropy, when people see progress, they give money. And I think that's going to be a big plus for Jack and them to raise more money to help us finish this facility. That's all I have.
All right. So Ms. Norton, if the finances don't go right, we gonna beat you up because you the chair.
It's all right. If you'll let me do my job, we
All
can
right.
do
We're gonna support you in doing your job. We just might not agree with you.
Right.
Oh, I did want to mention too, personnel. John, I have not had, because we've all been busy, I have reached out to Lynn Shuckleton. She worked on that committee previously and found out that we do have a living document that Sands Anderson and Mr. Costin had put together. We just have to get Mr. Bowen to find that document or reach out and get that document for us to look at, because from a background of personnel, we need a lot of new policies. We need to address a lot of things.
That's wonderful that you found work that's already done, so we don't do it twice. That's good.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
We are going to be moving forward with that soon.
And if we don't have it here, you can reach out to the attorney. They should have a copy of that. Something. All right, Mr. Toad?
I'd just like to say that I enjoy hearing from the citizens of my district and the entire county of Nottoway, and representing them to the best of my ability. However, I do get a little bit skin rubbed and have to bite my tongue when I see specific people poking and prod at any one person or panel of people. One huge dilemma I have with somebody is somebody telling me their capabilities all the time rather than showing me some capabilities. Other words, if I tell you how a chicken develops an egg without knowing the type of feed that's required to develop the egg, perhaps having the degree of practicing with Roger, he's not here now, but Reynolds. What I'm getting to is this. There's certain people that if we let them, we got to be like a horse with blinders and not let them deflect our ability to work together, pull together as a community. And some of these people don't even live in Nottoway County. That's what really gets you. I said to people in my community, in my district, and the entire community of Nottoway. And I think it's easy to be deflected. It causes a little warm blood and us trying to cause division. And it kind of rubs me wrong.
Right.
But I enjoy hearing from the public coming up here to speak. They don't have to live in Nottoway County if they got a concerning issue in the county, such as solar. The speakers that we had tonight all are from Nottoway County, with the exception, I think Mr. Morissette may not be a resident, but he's a landowner of Nottoway. And I enjoy hearing stuff like that. But certain times I want to cut to the chase. I want to know what your agenda is. And my agenda is to move Nottoway County forward, together, all of us. No division. So having said that, I'll pass.
You digress. You digress. All right. Just a couple of things. I know Mr. Collins and myself have been working on that. Some information from the blight ordinance. There's going to be some information that might part your hair when you start seeing some of this nuisance, criminal, and higher tax rates for people with blighted property that the county can execute. So we're anxious, and we've got a lot of work, got a lot of things.
On other orders, we looked at some animal control stuff also, and it's really covered by the state. So we haven't changed any fees, and so we're gonna just kind of look at our fee schedule. Got this possible new shelter coming, so there's some more expense. Everything's more expensive, so we're looking at that, and then really just even riding through the country, and you see a house with the roof falling in, a brick house, the roof's falling in.
And also, I'm putting this out to be transparent as well, as far as when we get into the animal control stuff, is do we need to extend the confinement period? I hear people coming, so y'all may be getting those questions now that we're getting ready to run that out. So what I'm saying is, if you're starting to hear those conversations and people asking about it, just if y'all don't mind, bring us that feedback so the committee can take a look at that.
I did have a citizen say, don't set ordinances because you can't enforce your ordinances you have now.
Right.
I've heard the same thing.
Yep.
And one thing, Mr. Chairman, I might reintegrate, not to interrupt you, but I totally forgot one of my main points.
All right.
The tax reassessment is a major concern to just about every citizen in the county.
Yes, it is.
But the lack of their knowledge, and like many of ours, including me, over the years, I try to learn me something new every day. But the rate is going to be adjusted. So in the end, if you're paying $1,000 after the rate adjustment, I can't say this for certainty, but it may not go over 7%. So you may pay $1,070. I put a thing on Facebook. I said it looks in Bills of Bank. I said it looks good for your net worth. You look better on paper. When you do, you're not going to cost you no more money, and it's been way overdue. But in certain cases that they went up too much to the value that it actually is, that's what we have appealing board for, Board of Equalization for. They can call the number on the bottom of the paper. But it's a few people I consider to be way smarter than me. They weren't smart enough. There's a whole lot older than me that didn't know that. They kind of raised Cain about it. I said, just hold on. And I explained it to them. So the next time, I'm going to make a suggestion. The next time we do a reassessment and the letters of the reassessment come out, we need to make some type of mentioning in there. Don't be afraid. Your rate is going to be, by law, has to be adjusted.
Yep.
Well, see, that's the other thing I was going to suggest. We need to look at the length of time we go between.
Yes.
Yes.
Reassessment.
We need to set it, my opinion is 4 years.
Well, VACO, when I was in that meeting a couple of weeks ago, they stressed that.
Yeah.
4 years.
4
is
years.
plenty
I
of
mean,
time.
then you don't get hit with the big numbers like we got. Well, of course,
Scary
the other problem we've had over the 6 years is COVID, inflation, the whole 9 yards. But when I got mine, and my house was 99% more valuable than it was 6 years ago, I'm like, I must be sitting on a gold mine. That's
Was you in agreement with the number?
Heck no. But
look better on paper.
I've got a chance.
No more.
Oh,
But
I'll have to
the
talk
big
to the
thing-
bank about that.
The big thing is you still aren't at what your real estate resale value is. It's more than that.
See, that's the thing I've got a thing with, a whole problem with. Most places, Mr. Collins, you being a banker, you know this from banking experience. You can't look at a tax assessment. It used to be the bank look at a tax assessment and say, if we're gonna make a loan on it for less than a tax assessment, we don't need an appraisal.
That's right.
To the Federal Reserve say, oh yes you do. When they really should use that, because that tax assessment has always been and still is less than the real value of the land.
Yeah, been for a long time.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, but that was a point that I wanted the citizens to hear So it might ease a few phone calls and concern a little bit till we readjust that.
one
By
of
the,
them
by
at
the
that.
way,
Yeah.
when do we readjust that rate, Mr. Chairman?
Well, the appeal with the assessors has wrapped up, and from what I heard, from everybody that has talked to me that went there, they dropped it. They dropped it. So, but if someone is not satisfied with what they got, we still have the appeal board of the citizens selected that they can go to. So the final numbers still have not come out yet because they need those final numbers from the assessor to go back to the Commissioner of Revenue, and then that will be released again. So what they're going to see is an initial drop before we even get to the adjustment of the tax rate.
April,
Right.
what is it? First?
Appeal board starts
April 1st.
Equalization.
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 Okay.
That's called the appeal.
Right, that's right. And then, so the only other thing I got, guys, and y'all were sitting in this room, and Sheriff, I know you were too, for Tuesday's work session, and all the numbers and figures are not in, but I want to mention this again, and I've said it previous years. I implore the citizens to watch our work sessions. There is so much information that is available as to what the county's doing. Now, I know it's boring. I know it's not exciting. I know it's not drama-filled. I know it's not going to make the front of social media. But the fact that we may be headed towards a savings of $50 million is, you should be excited about that. And also the work that's being done here, not to pacify or to make a judge happy, but to make a judge and the juries and stuff feel secure, which will bring the happiness. I mean, that may in itself lead to an additional $20+ million savings. This board is working where it needs to be working for the citizens. And I'm proud of every one of y'all. I'm proud of the staff. I'm proud of the sheriffs and the constitutional office for everything that they're doing in that. And, you know, all the naysayers, I hear you. I hear you. I understand you. I respect you. I will still help you any way I can. But we are, even with the naysayers, we are going to continue to move forward and fix what we need to be fixed. Be proactive instead of reactive. I agree. That's where we're going.
And I'd like to say one more thing. Do not believe everything you see in the newspaper or on social media.
It's a half-truth.
Yeah, and on other news networks. I didn't mean to say that. I truly did not mean to say that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Strike that, Mr. Chairman.
It's stricken. Anyway, I need a motion to adjourn if there's
So
nothing else.
moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by standing up.